there, comic friends! I'm Travis. It's the Comic Book Roundtable. We missed you last week. Where were you? Actually, it was all of us that flaked. Actually, it's really me that flaked out first because I didn't get my books. Actually, I didn't get my books until Monday. So yeah. So we're back anyway. We're gonna talk 2 weeks worth of books. What we're gonna do is we're gonna talk this week's worth of books first. This week would be what? That's like the 17th or something like that. I think was Wednesday. And then we're gonna kind of at the end of the show, we'll just kind of throw out what we want to talk about last week, about how much we hated the Batman books and all that kind of stuff, right? So let's talk this week. We're going to talk DC. Where do we want to start? Do we want to start with the hate, or do we want to start with something that's not so hateful?
Well, start positive.
Let's just start out. Let's just start out with this. Let's get it out of the way. So I just finished reading this. If it was a 10-page comic,
yeah.
Go back a month and watch the video that has this in it, and you can pretty much get my most of my take on this book. This is Secret Six number 9. I continue to not understand how a writer who is the creator of almost every character in this book, I mean, it might as well be a creator-owned book, can write something that's so boring and dim. I like the characters, but that isn't holding it, you know. And they're continuing to drag the old characters from the old Secret Six along as filler. That doesn't cut it for me. You got to actually do something with them, and they didn't. Mike, you're the only other foolish person that picked this up.
And I was battling. I liked the first issue. I thought the new arc would be interesting. I even thought the artwork of it was still good. And then I get to this one, I almost thought there was a different artist on it. But I felt the art was starting to fail, and I really felt that this was all about social agendas in a storyline, and I could always go for those. I will fight for people's social stories if there's a good story in it. This felt like they were just pushing or putting things on there to, you know, to shock me or to tell me this is what the world is, and I'm all right with that, except for there was no story, and it just felt like a bad PSA. So this is my last issue of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a great cast of representation of a lot of underrepresented people in it, and that would be awesome, and yay for that. But I can't support a bad book, and it's just really bad, and it's got nothing to do with the fact that, you know, there's gender fluid people in here, there's bisexuals in here, there's, you know, mixed race people in here. I mean, so that's all there, but they're really poorly doing anything with it. This issue is a different artist than the last 2 issues.
Oh,
the last two issues were Eagleham.
Okay.
I think is what his name was. This one's back to the DeKernick, the guy who did some of the original stuff.
Okay.
Somebody else is coloring him, though. He's not coloring himself, so it's not as muddy as those original issues are.
It just felt really rushed or something. I mean, the artwork was just not there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm clearly not ordering this book anymore. I think, unfortunately, I still am saddled with one more issue, and quite honestly, I doubt with as many comic books as I get, I doubt I will even open it up to look at it.
Sure.
I'll make somebody else in my family read it, and they can tell me about it. So, yeah, boo, boo.
Yep.
Which I know the writer can write, because I'll be talking about another book today that I was really excited by. So, yeah, boo. What else? What else came out but from DC?
Should we take our weekly look into Eternal?
Sure, let's do that.
Anyone else get it?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. We call this the DCU-ish origin of Cass. Really, really good issue. I don't know if you could see the cover. It's like, God, it reminded me of when I saw the cover. I can't remember the name of the band, but I just remember the song. I'm gonna butcher it. In a Good of a Vida, whatever.
In a God of Vida.
Yeah,
Iron Butterfly.
Yeah, Iron Butterfly. That's right. Especially in the Freddy's Dead movie when that plays on. It got the trippy scene. I just looked at this cover just instantly. I was like, I just thought of that for some other. Anyway, pretty much the issue is really about as Harper and Dick go meet this sculptor lady who kind of used to work with Mother. Obviously, now you read it, she kind of anti-Mother-ish a little bit. But the key is basically they're looking for Harper, and we find out first off who the orphan is. We do find who that is. It's Kane. Oh God, what's his name? Cassandra's dad. That's the orphan. And
okay.
And basically what they do is the sculptor person, what she basically does is to kind of give this the magic hand wave. She kind of can use like oh boy, I can't even talk tonight. Telepathic powers basically, where she basically takes Harper in like in a mind trip and takes her like back in time to what happened to her as a kid and what her dad used to do to her. It was really messed up. Like the whole thing about her being silent, they touch on that is that he wanted Cass to learn to communicate by what she observes and not by obviously vocal communication. And the one part is actually when they're making eye contact and he actually gets a knife and actually cuts her, and rather than being kind of sorry about that, he was kind of ticked off that, hey, you weren't paying attention. If you were really paying attention, you would have saw that coming. So but anyway, you get the whole little bit of an origin of Cass, and then toward the end of it, they were talking about Batman and what happened back when, and Dick tries to get into it. It's a tie risk thing, and actually that's how it kind of ends up. Is Dick kind of joins in the telepathic thing to find out what Bruce did back in the day. It was good. Art was by Fernando Blanco. Remember back in Detective, it was pretty good art. Good story. Again, good flushed out of the cast characters. So it was good.
Who wrote this issue?
Brinson.
Okay.
I forget the first name, but and Duce, he did have some art into a couple pages. He was in the first Eternal. So, but it was a good issue. It was good.
Good. So it's been pretty solid, really. I mean, as a whole,
Yeah.
What issue is this?
It's issue 11.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's kind of at a point now where I say this, and next week we're going to get a big push into the whole storyline. We're not really progressing too much, but which I think it's a lot of development and interaction, which actually keeps the interest going a little bit.
Sure.
So I think the series is in a good play.
And an origin of Cass isn't bad. I mean, that's actually informing us in some, maybe they're using the character more. I mean, to me, that almost feels like more than Stephanie got in the first Eternal. So,
and as I said, it was interesting how they kind of told it. It was basically through the perspective of Sculptor and Harper through this telepathic power. So you're kind of observing all this stuff happen, kind of like the Ghost of Christmas Past. They kind of watch holiday season reference and all that stuff.
Sure,
so
sure.
It was interesting the way they did it.
Yeah, cool. Right on. Luke, you still getting Batgirl?
Yes, I am. And I did this last night. Anyone who watched Seinfeld, remember that episode where he talked about the girl with the man hands?
Yeah.
Again, the big, huge hand.
Yeah.
And that hand is monstrous.
That's a big glove to be smacked with. I like their faces, though. I like the way Babs Tarr draws. Actually, I don't know if that's Babs Tarr.
I think it's La Fuente.
Yeah, but I like how all of them kind of mimic that kind of face. I like her yelling kind of mad face. I don't know. It amuses me. It has character. I don't know though. I mean, the last couple issues of this, I'm slowly not enamored with it.
I'll be kind of curious if I find out who's this person that's kind of watching her in her dreams and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Well, I've been the same way for a little bit. It's tough.
Well, so we come off of that first story arc with Batgirl that you kind of get the impression that they kind of had to clear some stuff up and kind of set what they want the character to be like. Okay, fine. Then well, I was at a con, and the creators were all there. I mean, every one of them. Both writers and the artists were there. They claimed that they had these great story ideas going forward. You know, now that they'd gotten that first story arc taken care of, they were going to take this character and do great stuff with her and whatnot. Now we're like, okay, well, I'm excited. I'll hang around. They got saddled with some issues, I think, with the whole some of the event-ish type stuff that was going on. The end game, was it end game stuff?
Yeah, they did have it.
Right, and then it seems like they saddled themselves with I don't know if it was their own choice or the editors with throwing in the Bat Robot, and then this issue just doesn't have a lot to it. I mean, they had that wedding issue, which that was fine. I don't know, it just.
Plus, they kind of referenced the annual, like it was like a big turning point in that annual. Actually, if, they did the footnote. Actually, should have referenced spoilers part in Catwoman rather than Batgirl annual. So that's how I was reading. I was like, really? But yeah, it's
right. I mean, but for those of us who've read Catwoman, of course, that whole we have to be told any of that because we all know that. But I don't know. It just doesn't have any.
I don't know who that guy was. Do you know who that guy was? Who came in? Yeah, I have no idea either.
No, I mean, I guess my thing is at least the first issues of the thing, granted the whole adjustment to the fact it's not the Babs that we were all used to, but it had kind of a spark to it. It had its own kind of vibe going on. And now it doesn't even feel like it has that, really. Or maybe I've just gotten used to it enough it doesn't have its own kind of unique place in the comic book world. Now it just feels kind of vapid.
It really does amplify that this definitely is not the Babs we're not used to. It really takes that shock and really amplifies it because, I mean, she kind of struggled in that gang fight a little bit. I still don't like... I don't know, this might be unpopular. I'll just go ahead and say it. I just don't think she's this hunky-dory every dude she comes across. It's like a love interest story. Like every part of a story, there's a guy with her. It's just... I think a lot of hers, she's just so independent and so strong. It's just... Again, I don't know. It's just a different change to the character, and it's really...
Right.
And Stephanie had some moments in this... I still don't think they got her right either.
Nobody does. Nobody is using that character well. I mean, kudos for them for continuing to try and use the character someplace in the DC universe, but yeah, I don't know. She's.
I mean, what's the big cliffhanger? That I really wasn't too impressed either. I mean, it's they did the survey, and oh man, my nephew or son got arrested. It's the redheaded girl.
It's the redheaded girl's fault. Oh no. Yeah. They're basically they're using one of Babs's algorithms to try and figure out who it is that's buying up all of Burnside. They're using the gangs to push everybody out of Burnside so they can buy it up cheaply and turn it into who knows what. And as herself, she's going around as a college student, filling out this survey, and they get Grandma in trouble. Grandma's little nephew grandson gets hauled away because he's in a gang. But it's, I don't know.
You would think, just for a short moment, just think of the concept of that right there. It actually that could be kind of interesting. Basically she's defending Burnside against the gangs.
Sure.
Then you just get kind of clustered in some other stuff, and it's just like, kind of gets
Well,
lost.
I mean, I get the idea that they make her out though she has an extremely busy life. That makes perfect sense. She does have an extremely busy life. And I appreciate the idea that they're showing her fatigued by all the stuff that she has going on. College, trying to have a personal life, trying to be Batgirl, all that stuff. But I don't know. It just becomes... I don't know. I guess I don't have the right words for it. Vapid is all I can think of. It just seems very superficial without any real honest merit to it. And like I said, I expected some sort of deep, rich kind of story to be being told, and it's becoming less and less that for me. I have to order my comics this weekend, and I really don't think I'm ordering that. I don't think that's going to stay on my pull.
I mean, do you think Fletcher just might have a little bit too much stuff on his plate between what he's got in Black Canary, He's gotten Gotham Academy. Now you got Batgirl.
Yeah, but a lot of those he's half writing. He's not completely writing those books. I mean, he's guiding artists to do the full job, right? I mean, because Cameron Stewart writes on Batgirl too. I don't know, because I think he does solid work on like, I mean, I like Midnighter.
Oh, he's on Midnighter too.
Yeah.
Oh crap! I didn't even know. Make that 4 titles. Oh my god.
No, he's not on Midnighter. I take it back. He's not doing Midnighter. He's not doing Midnighter. That's Orlando Bloom. I mean, that's Orlando. Never mind. I'm wrong.
Do you know how collaboration writing works?
I have no clue.
All right. I didn't know
you know,
somebody writes the main theme and somebody puts more dialogue in, or how they balance that.
I don't know. I don't know what his role is with each of those people. I don't know. I don't know if this was a case of DC editorial when, okay, Becky Cloonan, we're going to let you write, Gotham Academy, but because you don't have tons of writing chops, we're giving you this person to kind of help you, work your way through it. I don't know. I don't know how that works, and I'm sure it's different for each relationship. I mean, working relationship, I would guess.
Yeah.
So
right.
I don't know.
Did Batgirl have a huge delay?
No, I think actually I read that this actually went digital first for some reason.
Well, the reason why I ask is that number's 46, and most of the rest of DC titles are 47. So I was like, is there a delay on that, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess. I mean, I remember the last issue, but I guess I don't remember exactly when it came out.
All right, just curious.
Yeah. Where we lost an issue somewhere. Maybe that's the problem. We're missing an issue. All right, let's move on to something else. What else? Brandon, what'd you read DC-wise?
I only picked up one DC book that came out this week.
What?
Martian Manhunter.
Oh, you picked a good one, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the only one. I'm not reading much DC lately, so.
Did we all pick this book up?
Just the 3 of us, I think. Just the 3 of us.
Okay. What'd you guys think? Christina? Brandon, what'd you think?
I continue to love this book. It has a different artist on it, though, and I don't think he's on par with Barrows, but it wasn't like a drastic shift. It didn't take me out of the story. But Rob Williams' story continues to be on point. He continues to make me just second guess everything and throw in all these plot twists, and it's definitely one of my favorite DC books. It's so good. How do I even go about this? You want to take over?
The basic plot at this point is, through some ancient Mars magic, Mars has been brought back to life as being a living planet. The magic didn't work completely the way it was supposed to. Both Mars, the living planet, and Earth are kind of occupying the same space, or about to crash into each other, is kind of what it seems like is what's happening. And Martian Manhunter was the weapon or tool to make it happen. He kind of knew that. He fractured himself into all these personalities, which are great. They're all kind of different from each other, and some of them are incredibly goofy and funny. Mr. Biscuits is awesome. If I was into getting characters tattooed on my body, I would get a Mr. Biscuit tattoo. He is just that cool. So we're in the second arc, basically the beginning of the second arc. Things have not gone as planned for Martian Manhunter and Mars being alive and whatnot. Clearly, by the end of this book, we realize there's been a massive time jump. Because the little girl that we've had up until this is now clearly a young adult, which was interesting. That the way this ends is kind of like, okay.
She aged like 15 years or something like that. I forget how many years it was, but yeah.
Yeah.
There's always that big question of like, how is John Johns and the sum of his parts all in the same timeline? How is that possible?
Right.
That's kind of one of the big questions that's going on right now. I thought it was kind of funny about the whole situation with Mold. It's like, I'll hold these guys off. I'm a superhero, and the next page, like, squish.
Yeah. One of the personalities is kind of that old guy. He's got kind of it looks almost like a homemade superhero costume. I mean, he's wearing a blanket basically for a cape and whatnot. And he's the brains. He's supposed to be the brains. He's the brain part of Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
And he basically steps forward into the equivalent of like a tank and gets just absolutely slaughtered. I mean, he's a mist of red by the time we're done. So I don't know what that really means. And the FBI agent's like, what does that mean? He's the brains, and he's so it was pretty cool. Pretty funny. Christina, what'd you think of it?
I enjoyed it. The time jump confused me a bit because all the they're talking about it being the Mars of the past. So when we see like an older Alicia, I kind of it took me for a second to realize that we jumped back in time. But I'm enjoying it. It's not my favorite DC title out, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, clearly the whole time thing is a bit of a bleed because you're right. They're talking about the old Mars being moved forward. It's alive now, and of course she clearly is an older person, and that part of it is odd. But I'm really enjoying it. I mean, it's just fun, high superhero antics, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and the art didn't bother you, right?
No. I mean, you're granted, it's definitely not Burroughs. Burroughs is like, in my opinion, he is so on point for traditional, nice, crisp superhero style comic that I mean, he doesn't do wrong. This was fine, and if this person had been doing the art all along, I would still be happy with the comic. I mean, but it is of note that we have 6 issues of Eddie Burroughs doing it, who, like I said, is just absolutely on point. And then we have this issue, which this artist is a great artist too. I mean, I think he does fine, but it's standard versus somebody who does very, very well. Yeah, for sure. I'm ready for the next issue right now. So, So yeah, pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool. Any other DC books?
Oh, I got a ton. Anyone else got any? Anyone else got any, or am I the only one?
Go ahead, Mike.
No. It's all Luke.
I'm the only one.
Yeah,
Okay,
I wasted all my money on Secret Six.
All right, let's do speed
That's
round.
a damn shame. You know what?
Mike.
Bend a corner of your Secret Six and take it back to your comic book store and say, you sold me a damaged copy. And I'm so turned off by Secret Six because this was damaged. I want
Martian Manhunter, yeah.
Martian Manhunter, or a second copy of Weird World, or I don't know what.
Yeah.
I want the copy of the comic you got underneath the table leg that keeps it from tittering over because it's worth more.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead, Luke.
Just real quick, let's the last issue of Batman 66.
Oh yeah.
Issue 30. Didn't just now realize that this is an all Allred issue. Lee Allred, Michael Allred, Laura Allred, doing everything. The name of the title is main title of this issue, and it really is pretty much a way to show how or really the main credits of the show would actually play out, and they kind of stretched it out during the whole entire issue and then kind of end up at the very end. Again, I'm not really going to go too much in depth other than you see a lot of cameos from everybody. Let's see, obviously you get all the main players and the villains. Interesting, there's one panel, if you actually look at it, you actually see the Riddler and the Puzzler together, sort of. If you know your Batman 66 stuff, that's a nice little jab at that situation. But it was a good issue. I mean, kind of sad to see it go. I'm gonna miss it. I know we get the Batman meets Uncle, the Uncle, so you get a little bit more of a. That's another digital first thing, so you'll get that. That's only a short series, but this was just a nice little niche that it's just a lighter side of Batman. I appreciate and I love the series, and we know, granted, 30 issues. I know we talked about this before. Surprised it lasted that long, but it was a fun read. Never really had a bad experience reading it, so. But it was fun. Let's see, Batman Europa. I'm a little.
Is that right?
This is issue number 2, right? I will say the good thing about it is the art inside. It's really murky, and I don't want to say it's exactly that, but the Arkham Asylum book by Grant Morrison, the art maybe not that extreme, kind of reminded me of that a little bit. And overall, it was okay, but nothing really much happened in this, which kind of leads me to my concern. This is only a 4-issue mini. We're on issue number 2.
Right.
And they're in Prague right now. I think they're going to France next. They actually had a nice little reference to Casablanca. We'll see at the end, you know, we always got Paris, and they're actually going to Paris. Him and the Joker standing. So that was kind of cool. But my concern now, again, it's only a 4-issue mini. We're halfway through, and nothing really as much happened. So either it's going to get jammed in at the very end, or it's just kind of event. So
who's writing this?
This is Casali. I don't know, and Azzarello, both of them.
Right.
Jim Lee didn't do the art in this issue. It's I'm not gonna try to pronounce the guy's name. Kamalo, whatever. But that's my concern.
It was Cam and Coley, wasn't it?
Cam and Coley? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're better at that than I am.
I might be wrong. That's what I thought.
No, you're probably right.
Okay.
But we'll see. I mean, interesting concept, but again, 4-issue mini. That's my concern. So.
Right.
Justice League, number 46. The big reveal in this is that basically Darkseid's daughter now gets the power of the anti-life equation.
Ah.
So Annie Monitor's out. I'm the whole Mr. Miracle character, and didn't know too much going into this. Didn't know his wife was actually a member of Darkseid's army, but she shows up. It was good. Art was by Manipul.
Big Barda. Big Barda is part of Darkseid's army.
That's what I found.
Okay.
He took this opportunity that Darkseid's dead now to kind of mend the fences between Miracle and Darkseid's forces, whatever.
I will go back to reading my 1970s Mr. Miracle.
Yeah. But it was okay. This issue's I definitely want to get Fabok back. It's been a long time, especially with the tie-ins, not seeing Fabok in Justice League. But it's good. But I didn't realize this is a long story. This is part 6. All right, nowhere near the end. So, we'll see. Tell you what, I saved this. I saved it specifically to do it on the show. And I got Harley Quinn issue number 23. And for what I'm doing, I get one, with the exception of the Batman one, I end up getting all 3 covers. But I'll keep one sealed. And then, just for collector purposes, now we'll get another one to open. Now, we all know the way these are working, you basically got 3 cracks at the variant. You get a color, an ink, or a pencil.
Sure.
Well, I saved one copy to go ahead and open, just to show everybody. I thought this would be something cool to do. So, got the black bag. I got my pencil.
Well,
not my pencil.
Which one are you hoping to get?
What's that?
Which one are you hoping you get?
This one I kind of want the color one. Because I'll be honest, I've seen the cover on this, and it's really not all that special. That Batman one, though, the Alex Ross, that was nice, but... Alright, let's see. Which one did I get? Got the ink. Oh, this one's actually not that bad. This is not what I was tracking. Oh. Alright, sweet. This actually, I like that.
Let's see it. Hold it up again.
That bag there.
No, you got it right there.
I got the color.
Perfect.
I got the colored one.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I got it.
This was a totally different cover than I thought.
I wasn't expecting. Yeah.
That's actually,
I wanted the Bruce Timm one.
I was going to say, is that Bruce Timm? Okay.
Yeah, it's Bruce Timm.
That's what I thought it was.
Now, because of the month it is and the holidays and whatnot, and I don't really have a whole lot of free time to play around on the internet, what book is it that DC's putting out right now that they're putting in a poly bag? Is it it's a Harley Quinn book that's got just freaking random pieces of actual original art tossed in?
Yeah.
So,
Am I right? So
No.
what book is that?
No, it's these. You have a chance of getting original artwork on one of these covers for like a variant, but it's like a rare thing. It's not. Yeah, it's a Harley like original cover.
Okay. So it is one of the Harley books.
Yeah.
Do we have any idea how many are floating around out there?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
Because I mean,
Travis, I was just going to
Right.
say, for Green Arrow, I ended up getting this one, and I didn't care much for the pencils. But then again, I guess I wasn't overly crazy about the cover in general. But
Sure.
Yeah. I didn't really like Tim Sale's one either for Green Arrow, but I did get the colored one. It looks better color than pencil.
oh yeah,
Cool.
But it's fun. I mean, it's some neat little gimmick for them to do. You never know. So.
Sure.
The
They got you buying 3 issues to instead of 1, so they've got to figure it out, right?
And they're
Yeah.
doing it again, I think, in
Yeah.
March.
Right.
I feel for DaCosta.
I know. Yeah. So, but at Harley, I'm not gonna go much into it. It was okay. It's typical Harley stuff. So, it's fun. But yeah, we are Robin War. The Drake versus Red Hood. Who's gonna win? Oh no. This was okay.
So that in the Robin War, that would be the 4th part.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, it's the 4th part, and you have
This
the
is the
two
one.
tie-
This is the one I miss. Okay, because I didn't pick it up. Okay.
Basically in this, they do fight. They're told to fight by the Talon. They had them all tied up, so it's fight to the death type thing. But they kind of switch it up to the point where they're able to get all the other Robins released from the cages they had. They're being held, which we found out who designed the cages for these kids, and it's actually the the councilwoman that's trying to get into the Court of Owls. So yeah, but it was good. Big cliffhanger at the end is the Mecha Talon's gonna come and kill them all. So overall, I thought the event is good. They're moving it around, so I mean, this is actually isn't a bad way of doing that. I think if you're gonna kind of do an event like this, I mean, ready in 2 weeks, and you're on part 4, and then next week you got a tie-in, I think, and then Robin Son Diamond Batman will be 5, and then I think the week after that. So it's a quick moving event. So
I'm okay with that.
It was okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually okay with that. Have an event done in a month. It might be multiple books, but basically in a month or 2, it's over. That works for me. That works.
I mean, I still feel I'm sympathetic to the people that let's say if they didn't get We Are Robin, now if they want to continue on the event, they gotta feel like they have to rush out.
Nope, you told me what I needed to know, so I don't need to pick that book up, so I'm okay.
No, I mean I know the next tie-in I think is Teen Titans, which I do not get, but now I will just a tie-in. But other than that, it's been fun.
Yeah.
And
just to comment on the Mr. Miracle thing and whatnot, Ryan C. does say that Barda was always a refugee from Granny Goodness's Furies. So this isn't a change from Kirby's characterization, which is true, but she's always been she's been that, but that's really never what she was, though. For most of Big Barda's existence, she's not been that. So if they've still got her trapped being a Fury, then I don't know. Anyway, go ahead, Luke.
And last one I got, Arkham Knight Genesis. A little bit of a step down. This kind of goes into how the relationship between Jason and Deathstroke happened, how he funded the army he had in the Arkham Knight army, and it was okay. I'm not going to go too much into it. It's penultimate issue. Got one more left for this one, and see how they kind of ended up. So we'll see.
They gotta hurry up and get another video game out so they can keep putting out more video game comics, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how well this one's actually doing, though. Because I know When they had Arkham City, they had City, then they had Arkham Unchained, and that one kind of petered off after like volume 2 or 3.
Yeah. Well, I just know
This
lots of people who are reading that comic who do not play video games whatsoever. So that's pretty cool.
There is the big Batman Mario crossover that's coming though.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I'm all over that. I can't wait to see Batman throwing mushrooms at people.
Yep.
It'd be awesome.
Or he'll get the fireballs like pew, pew, pew.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Wayne Tech.
Right. The other DC book I picked up this week was the final issue of Justice League United. I have not read it yet, but I know it's the final issue, so I don't know if it'll tie up this whole kind of loopy thing they got going with Adam Strange or not. Travel Forum did the art on this one again, so I'm sure it'll be kind of odd looking, because he's kind of a strange artist to have on a superhero book. But yeah, I'll get to it at some point. That it for DC books? Anybody? Anybody? No? DC News? DC... No?
I think I read somewhere that they're going to bring Vixen into Arrow,
Really?
Oh, I could see that. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
but I didn't actually look into it because I don't watch Arrow, but I saw a headline about that.
Yeah, right on.
The Vixen cartoon, I think that they did for CW Junior or whatever, did really well, and I mean they incorporated the TV Flash and TV Arrow into it.
Into it, right.
And I think that the lady who voiced it could easily do the acting. So.
Cool. She'd be a great addition.
Yeah.
I also saw that the rumor of Nicole Kidman being a part of the Wonder Woman movie has been debunked. She's not going to be part of it. So, I don't know. Outside of that, I don't know any other DC news.
Yeah, whatever. Actors being in a movie or not being in a movie, I guess, whatever. As far as that goes, I mean, I'll wait and see it when it gets here and whatnot. So, excited for that movie. They put this week? They put out those movie posters, the Trinity movie posters. To
Yeah.
they continue and try and keep people excited about their movie, and instead of the other movies that are out right now. As Disney is killing it with Star Wars, I'm sure already. So, yeah. This is, like I said, bad month for me. I'm way out of the loop as far as newsy type things go. I haven't really heard anything from the DC camps that would be of all interest. So let's move on to Marvel. I have a couple of Marvel books this week. What do I want to talk first? Christina, what'd you read Marvel-wise this week?
We can talk Weird World.
Oh yeah.
Sweet. So Weird World, right? And it is Sam Humphries writing it and Mike Del Mundo on art. Or should we just say it's a Mike Del Mundo book and just leave it at that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
What do we think? You like it?
Very much so. I mean, I know originally when they were talking Weird Worlds, the idea was kind of they bring in somebody who's lost in their life. They put them through a trial, and then at the end they come out with I guess a better focus or a higher goal in life. With Akron, they kind of showed that, and it was even interesting. They started with Akron on here. But the fact that this little creature mage brought this plane through, just to show he could, and then the barbarian woman hacks him in half, and then it's like, well, I guess they won't be using that much for anything. It was good. I mean, I think that allows them to be free to do whatever. It definitely shows a much more beautiful and fun world than, like, my Black Knight series is also supposed to be in Weird World. This is just beautiful compared to that.
Well, now that concept you mentioned about Weird World is still in here, right? We've got this girl, this main character. Clearly, she's going through a personal trial in her life. If being sucked out of a plane by demons, they're ripping the plane to pieces, is not the worst day of your life, clearly the girl is going through some trials, and we get some hints of that in this. so there's going to be that aspect. It seems to be like plus we get the hint that there is a larger scope, right? Because we've got what is that, the Enchantress? I can't remember.
Morgan Le Fay.
Morgan Le Fay. We've got Morgan Le Fay kind of in the background, and she's that little wizard guy at the beginning that gets split in half. He actually has access to potentially some greater source that, of course, every other wizard's going to want. So you get that kind of excitement going on. But so I'm interested in the story. I'm interested in the character. Clearly, the art sells this book. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how that page translates. This is the second page. It's a giant splash page. This is the demon that's attacking the plane. There is what's his name?
Akron,
Akron basically telling her, "Welcome to World, have fun." Oh no, run. I mean, welcome to World, run.
Yeah.
Quite the opposite.
Yeah. Just amazing. I mean, the characters are just great in it. This is the barbarian woman. She absolutely hates wizards. Okay, do you like wizards? No. Are you friends with wizards? No. As the girl's glancing down at this guy that's been split in half, realizing I don't want anything to do with wizards because this lady's gonna split me in half. And can I be your sidekick? You mean squire? Yes, squire. Well, how many wizards have you killed? A few. Really? I mean, 100 few. I've killed 100 few wizards.
Yeah.
And her steed in this is just incredible. Her steed is this big badass muscle car. This is what the knight rides around in. I'm sorry, that's just. It has to be right. They just told Del Mundo, just draw a bunch of really awesome stuff, and we'll write a story around it and call it cool. I mean, I don't know. I love this comic. It was just great. Super excited about it. I like the character. Like I said, she's clearly had some bad stuff happen in her life. She's carrying around her mom's ashes that she's supposed to be taking back to Mexico. That was the plane ride she was on when she gets abducted. So she's walking around with a backpack with her mom's ashes in it. So that's clearly we're gonna have that. Even this cover is incredibly intriguing. Like I said, it doesn't translate very well, but the fingernails have home written on it with a question mark. There's all these little charms of all these other superheroes. I don't know. Super cool.
I didn't even notice a fingernail thing until you just mentioned it.
Yeah. It's just super cool. I mean, yeah. Gorgeous stuff. I'll quit talking. Go ahead.
Right at first, I didn't know what to think about Golette, the wizard killer, but I believe she is going to grow on me, especially since it's a limited series. So.
What do you mean limited?
This is a limited series?
Or it's an ongoing?
I thought it was an ongoing. I mean, I don't know how long she's going to hang with Golette, but.
Yeah.
But I like this character. This girl that's in here, she seems resourceful. She's not she's not an idiot. She's freaking out about the stuff that's around her, but while she's freaking out, she's still, grabbing things and smacking things and quick on her feet. I like how quick she thinks. It's like, okay, I'm screwed here. I need some help. And the barbarian woman's walking off, and she comes up with this idea of I'll be your sidekick or your squire just because I don't want to be stuck here by myself. I don't know. I'm sold on the story besides the art.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing. I guess I'm worried about how long Del Mundo can keep up on it. So, I mean, if they decide to switch artist, I mean that'll be a big punch.
That would hurt. That would hurt.
And then we'll see how much the story carries it.
Right. We'll see how well.
Or it could be like an Elektra where he did an arc, took a break, and then does another arc or something like that.
All right. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
And I'd be for that. Because unless whoever the artist in between was horrible, I'd write it out knowing if I was getting more, But if you want to see gorgeous painted comic book art of a fantasy nature, pick this book up. Even if you don't want to, pick this book up. So I can keep picking it up. Great stuff. I'm super excited about it. I was all around. Awesome. What else? What else we got? Anybody?
Illuminati?
Okay, let's talk Illuminati. Love the cover.
Yep. I actually really enjoy the artwork inside.
Oh, I love
like
Crystal. Sean Crystal, I love that Sean Crystal as an artist. Yeah.
It was a very interesting story because it's bordering on childish, like when she meets was it Pete Pot Pistol, or whatever, the guy who makes the glue, and
Pistol
he
Pete or whatever the hell his name is.
yeah, and he's like splooge, and she's all upset by that.
Yeah, yeah, she gets splooged on. Sounds disgusting, doesn't
That
it?
just
Yeah.
sounds gross.
Yes.
But then I mean, it is fairly dark with like what is it, Black Ant? He is just like off the charts. Like
yeah,
there are bad guys, and then there are nasty people. And
yeah, he's a homicidal killer. I mean, he's top tier. Kitty cat.
She doesn't like it when I close the door.
But yeah. Here's the is for me. I like the cover artist, Riley Osmos. I like Sean Crystal. Like his art. I like the character of Titania. I kind of like what they're doing with her. Telling the story through her, I'm fine with. I do not care about this Hood guy and him trying to make a team and it. My problem is I don't know if I'm supposed to be taking it serious or if I'm supposed to be looking at it kind of like it being like Superior Foes of Spider-Man, where I'm supposed to be taking it as a joke. Because they are because some of these characters, some of these bad guys are a joke. I mean, they're like second tier or third tier, D-list villains. But it's not written funny enough for me to actually be laughing about it. And then some of the dark stuff that happens in here. I mean, literally, Black Ant is consumed by a guy, and then he expands himself to full size while inside of somebody else. And as you can imagine, the results are extremely dramatic. The guy just explodes all over the place because he's blowing up from the inside out. So, I don't know. I mean, how are we? Do you have a sense, Mike, of how we're supposed to be taking this?
Yeah. What I read before, he is somebody who thinks he has got the brains of an Osborn and the power of a Doom, and because of that, he can't figure out why can't he make a group of bad guy Avengers or Masters of Evil and make it work? Because his quote is always, "Bad guys win every day. Why not us?"
Right.
And I think that's the thing. It's supposed to be kind of that down on your luck story. He keeps trying to pull this off, but he can't because he's picked the worst ideas. Like Black Ant and Mad Thinker and some of them.
Well, and their scheme in this, the great plan is they're going to break into Asgard, steal all the Asgardian weapons, and then sell them off to the other bad guys and become super rich, and go into their golden age talking about how awesome they are. That's the plan. As simple as that. They're just gonna walk into Asgard. Of course, there's lots of holes in that.
Terrible idea.
Right. The first thing they have to do is they have to figure out how to get there because it's not like they can just walk across the Rainbow Bridge, right? So that's their first goal. Is just that somebody has supposedly created a thing that will make a fake version of a Rainbow Bridge. Then there's the whole question of once they get to Asgard, it's full of gods. How's that gonna work? So I mean, but like I said, my problem with it is the writing. I guess I like the art. I'm just not sure how I'm supposed to consume this. I mean, I like the character of Titania. I like her, trying to be straight, and it's not gonna work for her, so she's kind of doing this. But she knows. It's pretty clear the entire time that this is like the worst idea ever. But what else does she have to do right now? But I just don't know. I can't get a take on the book to know how I'm supposed to. What kind of vibe I'm supposed to get off of it.
My hope is that after the first arc, 5 or 6 issues, that the Red Hood is wiped out or removed, arrested, whatever, and she figures out how to glue a team together, and then she is the top dog. Because, I mean, since they started with her, there's a certain focus on her. I really want the book to be about her and her team.
I just don't think it's going to be that, though, being called the Illuminati.
Yeah.
I mean, using that name is a pretty high litmus test, isn't it? I mean, to me, that almost feels like the first joke. Is that these guys, Wrecking Ball,
Yeah.
the Mad Tinker,
Yeah.
Titania, Black Ant, and what's he called, the Hood?
Yeah, the Hood.
That's supposed to be the Illuminati.
Yeah.
When in the past, Marvel's Illuminati has been what? Captain
Big
America,
dog, yeah.
Mr. Fantastic,
Strange,
Submariner,
yeah.
Black Panther.
these huge heavyweight guys, and these guys, they get trouble for breaking their parole, not for being supervillains.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that I'm going to make it 5 or 6 issues to get to the first arc. I'm just saying, because I can't get a take on it that I'm happy of. Like I said, love the art. Was excited to see that guy doing some art. I just wish I could get a better read on the story.
Yeah.
What else?
The Inhumans,
Brandon?
the Uncanny variety.
Sweet.
Issue
3, right?
I was going through my stack and I was like, this is the only team book I actually read right now, which is kind of funny. This book was awesome, just like this whole series has been. Uhura, not like Nichelle Nichols from Star Trek, but Uhura, Black Bolt's son, basically has been being trained by Kang throughout time to wage these different battles. And now when age, Uhura is taking the battle to the Inhumans and Johnny Storm and Beast. And it was just done so beautifully well. There's 2 parts that really stuck out to me. The first part was Johnny Storm pretty much rushes in, and he gets taken over by Uhura, and he sort of releases this like huge heat wave at Black Bolt, and Black Bolt uses his voice. And Reader is there, and he's like, "What was that?" And Beast was like, "Well, you're one of the few people who actually got to hear Black Bolt's voice." He's like, "Oh, well, who was the recipient?" He goes, "Oh, Human Torch." And Reader's like, "Oh, well, I saw that coming." I thought the whole banter was hilarious.
Yeah.
But it was really the ending that really stuck this whole story to me. The last page, where basically Uhura talks to Medusa and Black Bolt, who's obviously having issues of their own. They're holding hands, and Uhura's like, "What do you see?" And Black Bolt just says, "My son," whispers, and Uhura just evaporates. That whole scene stuck with me. It's probably my favorite scene of all the comics I read this week. It really stuck with me. So now I guess they're going to go into a younger time frame to save Black Bolt's son.
Yeah. My guess would be is they're going to try and go back in time and catch him before he's been forced to start killing. Because him and Kang have gone through time and are basically wiping out older Inhumans, so the Inhumans kind of all fade away out of existence. I mean, that's part of the goal. I think they're going to try and go back and find a younger version of him before he started doing all that and save him, right after Kang was given to him. Which, of course, if, the whole time being kind of a fluid, can go anywhere kind of a thing, that potentially could be frustrating. But I absolutely love the book, too. I mean, the art is just fabulous in it.
Steve McNiven, right? Yeah.
Yeah, McNiven does such a beautiful job of facial expressions. You get the pain, you get the anger, all that's there, and clearly you have to deliver that with Black Bolt because he, as a general rule, I mean, this is the most talkative we've seen Black Bolt in a long time. I mean, he says 2 things in this issue.
I know, that guy just won't shut up.
Well, I know, no kidding, right? And you're right. The end of this book is awesome. I mean, it's it's Medusa and Black Bolt's son as an old man, long white and gray hair. He's this wizard, battle-hardened guy, basically going to crush them. I mean, they're screwed. I mean, he's kicking their asses, and they make the choice. They make the choice to eliminate him. Black Bolt annihilates him. Black Bolt says, "My son," and that is enough vocal to just absolutely disintegrate him, which would be hardcore. Even if even if you think your son has become this bad dude, that's just hardcore. I love it. I'm excited to see what happens. going forward because I love the characterization, love the way it's been delivered. That whole thing with Johnny Storm and Black, it's like, because readers like that sounds like a nuclear explosion. That's him talking, but he killed Kang, so I'm curious. Clearly, if they go back in time, that means they saved Kang somewhere along the way too, because
well, Kang will never truly die because of his MO.
Right,
He's
right.
always going to be around.
But Aurora does, they show him, after he's fought all these battles, they show him, doing Kang in and taking Kang's armor, basically becoming Kang.
Right.
But he is an old, battle-hardened, wizened old man. I mean, he just looks at, he's Warren red eyes and whatnot. It was cool.
You were talking about Steve McNiven's facial features, and that's the other thing I saw. Black Bolt, before he sent Human Torch to go after him, Black Bolt stopped him and gave him that look. I have it right here, this panel. And he doesn't need to say anything. You know what emotions he's going through. And Johnny Storm's like, I know, he's your son. And I think it takes an exceptional artist to get that right, to make that panel pay off as well as it did.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really, really digging it. Excited that I got the book. Really, really enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I really honestly hope it never really ties into the other one because I'm not getting the other.
No, I hope not.
The other Inhuman book that's out there that I've not heard such positive things about. So, but I've been excited about this one. Yeah. 3 issues in, it's been solid all the way. So.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Thor, the Thor, Lady Thor,
Mighty
Thor, which it wasn't under Mighty in my shop, it was under Thor, so at first I got a little scared, but luckily it was also my pull. I mean, it just continues with beautiful art, beautiful writing on this. It's wonderful to see the conflict continues with Jane Foster, Thor, and Odin and Kull, his brother, because Kull basically, traps her and starts beating her, up on the bridge with a couple of guards. And you see it's going to be a constant struggle for her. It's a punishment to become Thor because she's hated by her people. She reverts back. She's fighting a cancer. So, I thought it was just great, And the cosmic warfare of the elves, her involvement in it. They bring Loki back, and I just got caught up on Agent of Loki. I bought the digitals on that, and so it was really great to see Loki in.
Cool.
But
every time I see Kull, Odin's brother, I'm always reminded of Fear itself, and I'm like, no, get that out of my head, because he was like the main villain of that miniseries, and I hated it. But yeah, Odin is like lost his mind. He's got Freya, Odinson's mother, in jail for treason because of her helping Jane Foster Thor, and he's using Kull, who killed Odinson in that miniseries, Fear itself, to do his bidding. It's like, what are you doing, Odin? Odin's not a very likable person right now.
So Odin basically is just completely losing his shit over the fact that this woman is Thor.
Yeah.
Yep. Pretty much. And we still have not seen Odinson yet in this new series. He still hasn't made his presence known yet. But they've mentioned him, but because now it's not just Loki, Roxxon, and Malekith. The Enchantress shows up, and the Enchantress's deal is she wants Odinson's body, and Malekith wants obviously Jane Foster, Thor's body. So that's kind of her end of the bargain. So they're making mention of him, and I'm assuming he's going to show up soon, but he hasn't shown up yet.
Because he hasn't been anywhere in the Marvel Universe since Secret Wars, right?
Correct.
Not that I've seen.
Cool.
I also really, really like what Heimdall does in this issue. Because Heimdall, basically, it's Kull and like a bunch of these, what are they called? Thunder Guards.
Yeah.
You basically take down Thor, and they're about to chop off her hand, so she can't use Mjolnir anymore. And Heimdall is like, no, not on my bridge. And Kull's like, what are you doing? This is treason. And Heimdall's like, no, my oath is I serve Odin, not Kull. Like, I don't... And then Thor gets away, and then Heimdall eventually gets arrested too. So I guess he's gonna... He's gonna have a lot to talk about with Freya, apparently, in jail.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's still really, really good. But yeah, there's some very unlikable people involved in this. Odin's, I don't know. We haven't really seen Odin at all. Everything's basically all his hate that we're getting from him are through his like lackeys he's sending out, and because we know that all the main decisions are coming from him, but we actually haven't seen him.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, still really, really good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Why not?
What about you, Christina? You were the last of us that picked it up.
What do I think of it?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking? I'm enjoying it. I like Jason Aaron's run on this more than his original stuff with Thor. I honestly, I really love like the situation that Jane Foster's in with having cancer and being Thor. I'm really enjoying it. Definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I should have picked it up when it started over. I should have picked it up. I mean, I'm getting the trades. I'm getting the trades of the stuff that was before Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Kicking myself still. I don't know why. I'm always kind of about Thor anyway. It's just not a character in any sense that I'm super excited about, but once again, I just keep hearing good stuff about it, so should have gotten it. Dang it. Ms. Marvel?
Yes.
Issue number 2.
Yep.
Brand new series.
Well, brand new, yeah.
No, the good thing is it's really not. I mean, it is, but it's not. I mean, you wouldn't know that you missed a beat, basically.
Same thing as with Thor, same thing.
Yeah, which is awesome. Awesome that some of these books they're not messing them up in their changeover. So, what do we think of Ms. Marvel?
This is one of those books where I've read so many books in the last couple weeks that my mind's kind of a blank on what actually happened in here. Is this the issue? I remember it was a minor part, but those Loki golems or whatever that's protecting the school.
That was last issue.
It was last issue? Damn.
Yeah.
All right, well, never mind.
No, you can go ahead and say it. I'm just saying that was last issue.
I just said I love the panel where they're like crossing guards. But anyway, go ahead.
Right, they're just hanging out. Yeah. I'm enjoying this book. It's more of the same brilliant Kamala Khan, and just kind of her personality, her take on the world. She's trying to clean up the mess that's becoming. Someone is buying out her little burg of New Jersey. And basically turning into a big yuppiesville. The rent is going up. They're putting in sushi bars. They're using her likeness to sell this whole thing going on. So she's investigating that, and she finds out, of course, they simply aren't just simply your typical evil corporation. They're an evil corporation. I mean, they're turning people into mindless zombies to create this whole takeover. The most fascinating thing I saw in this issue, and I gotta find the panel that it's in, because I think it's a pretty important panel to know. Somebody I didn't realize that lived in New Jersey, that we find out lives in New Jersey in this issue. Let me see if I can find it, now that I'm saying it. Somebody take up space while I'm looking.
I'm trying to find the panel, too.
You know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Yes, here it is. I did not realize that Mario lived in New Jersey. Right there. I don't know if you can see it, but right there he is. There is Mario. Sitting on a sofa while she's hopping by. Is that what you thought I was talking about, Brandon?
Yeah, it was. I noticed that too.
I mean, the only thing it doesn't have in the picture is the actual symbol inside the little gold thing. Otherwise, that is 100%.
Nintendo would be like, copyright infringement.
100%. I just think that's hilarious that the artist tossed that in somewhere, because that's not...
It's always nice when artists throw in like little Easter eggs like that.
Yeah. So, but I mean, if you enjoy Ms. Marvel, it's Ms. Marvel. I mean, the style of villain that she's fighting, the fights that she gets into, the kind of monologuing that goes on, it's all kind of there. The big
twist at the end was very, very clever. I didn't piece that together until it came up. because the company was called the Hope Yards Development and Relocation Association.
Right.
And I was like, oh,
But
yeah,
that's an acronym. That's an
and I was
acronym.
like, oh, yeah.
Hydra.
Like, I
Which is-
totally missed
Yeah.
that.
Oh, I didn't have a clue until she said it out loud. I'm like, yeah, okay. So yes, another branch of Hydra for So I'm enjoying them. It's just a fun, kind of happy comic
Yeah.
with Cliff Chang covers.
Do you like the whole Bruno with a new girlfriend story?
Yeah, I like that, and I'm glad this issue didn't totally focus on it.
Yeah.
Last issue had me worried. They focused on it quite a bit, which is cool. It's a new thing. It's a new thing in Camilla's life. But if she becomes too obsessed on that, I don't know. I guess maybe it's because I side with Bruno. I mean, it's like, look, you said you want nothing to do with this, so now you can't have it both ways. You can't expect me to stop my life while you go superheroing and then to be around whenever you decide you want to retire from
And
that.
again, it's one of those things you got to remember. 8 months have passed. It's not like really 2 months
Right.
or whatever for between issues.
Right.
It's like, wow, that happened really quick. He found someone really quickly, but no, really 8 months passed.
Right. After having it in no uncertain terms drilled into his head, there is nothing gonna happen here.
Yeah.
Go find somebody else because it's not gonna happen. So
Right.
yeah, cool. What else? What else we got, Marvel? Anything?
Squadron Supreme.
All right. Okay. What's going on
it
with
was-
Squadron Supreme?
It's interesting. So this is James. No, sorry, this is Chris Robinson. First, and I thought it was very interesting. It's each member of the Squadron Supreme is from another universe that was destroyed during the incursion, where each one would have two worlds come together. One of them was personally destroyed by Submariner. So they've decided they want to seek out revenge. I was really excited too because one of the, and I didn't even think about this till they basically spelled it out. There was a Displaced Paranormal. DP7 was a comic book that I enjoyed. It was New Universe, which was one of those subcategories of DC comic or of Marvel Comics. So it was this universe that was outside of the main universe. So they pull even a Speedster from that. Most of these others, you've known from other comics. It was really enjoyable. They all get together. They're all pissed. Their worlds have been destroyed. They blame Submariner, and it was ruined quite a while ago on what was going to happen in this book. They fight Submariner. Hyperion picks up, the Superman of the Marvel Universe picks up Atlantis out of the water. All the people fall, jump out into the water, and then he smashes it to the ground. And he is like, Atlantis has risen and fallen.
Wow.
Which, of course, Mariner, just freaks out. He goes after him, and in just a flash of an article, they try and make it as quick as possible. You see just that blast from his heat vision, and we find that Mariner's head is done a Deadpool. Just gone and rolled right off his shoulders. So they have killed Submariner.
In the Marvel Universe?
In the Marvel Universe, yep, as far as I could tell. So this is supposed to be all after... I think they even said they know about all of Battle World. They know each person's world was destroyed. In fact, one of them personally knew that it was destroyed by Submariner. So this was their revenge. They were out to kill him.
Wow.
And it'll be interesting to see how they continue this. They bring in Thundera, and they mention Lord Akron. It'll be interesting to see, do they do a weird world? Do they, what are they going to allow this group of nearly villains? They've been villains in several different universes. Now they're heroes, but they've done this murder. The only thing they can figure out, of course, is to call the Uncanny, Avengers. Which I guess is the thing I'm getting upset at, is Uncanny Avengers are in my Weird World with the Black Knight, and they seem to be the ones they send out to take care of all these things. So, I don't know. It just seems to start to become a cliche now.
So, I was thinking about picking that book up, and then I kind of went into this little moral dilemma of why I didn't.
All right.
So you talked about a couple weeks ago about Batman and about how they spoiled when Bruce was coming back.
Yep.
And then you went on a rant about it. And with Batman, I mean, you don't really boost sales on it because it's Batman; it'll always sell. I think Marvel released, we're killing Namor off, so we get more of a hype on the Squadron Supreme book that may not sell as much.
Yep.
So does that bother you less? Because for me, I was like, the only reason I'm going to pick this up is because it was spoiled for me. And I was like, no, this is all weird. I don't know if I should be picking it up because I was spoiled on something. So that's why I didn't end up picking it up. So I don't know. I was kind of in this moral dilemma as why I didn't pick it up.
Yeah. If I had thought about it, I probably would have been pissed off enough not to pick it up. Because, yeah, it seems like they're doing it because it's like, this is the first appearance or this is the death of. So you have to buy this for your collection. It'll make you money in the end. Yeah, those kind of things do piss me off. But I was interested to see. I do like Squadron Supreme. I liked some of the characters. I wanted to see what they were going to do with it. I don't know that I'll continue after this, especially because it seems already it's falling into a cliche. That it's all right now we're going to have the Avengers come in and do whatever. So, I don't know. I don't know where this book is going. I mean, it really seems a very lost idea.
That's Squadron Supreme. I can understand the reasoning behind it more. It's just I still don't like the idea of being spoiled with something. But anyway.
Yeah. That is an interesting question. I mean, it's like, at what point do you need it for the sales versus not needing it for the sales? Yeah, I don't know, like with the Batman thing, it's like we all know what was going to happen. I just think we all prefer not to know exactly what issue it happens in for us. But I guess there is a certain intrigue into killing off a hero, especially if it's a hero that's been around for as long as they've kind of been around. So knowing that's there when I normally wouldn't pick the book up, like you said, it kind of enticed you to want to check it out. I don't know if that's a bad thing either. You have to do something to sell the comic. And I don't know, because I didn't hear it. I missed the spoiler that he was getting killed. But then there's always the question of how is it going to happen? What's the whatever behind it, and clearly you would need to go and get the book to read it to find out what the how and why behind a death of the character. So yeah, I guess it is kind of it's kind of one of those double-edged swords and whatnot. You don't want to be totally clueless because you might not pick something up not knowing that it was going to have something interesting in it. So you got to do something to let people know to buy it. I guess part of me also, it's the way the spoilers are released to us, in what sense they are, kind of a thing. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Max pointed out there's been several occasions where it's like right in the blurb on Facebook or on, whatever page you're going to. It's like,
right.
Hey, they just killed blah blah, and you're like, well,
Yeah, if it's in the title, it's crap. Because I mean, there's a difference between getting something spoiled because you chose to read a review or an article on a book. If you choose to read that before you've read it, you're kind of asking for it. But if you're just browsing your timeline, whatever thing you're in, whether that's Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, whatever the hell, and it's in the title, to me that's a sin. There's a huge difference between the book exists and something exciting happened in it, and did you all know that Bruce Wayne's Batman? Oh wow, kind of thing. So yeah, Yeah. Any other Marvel books?
Got one. I got Amazing Spider-Man 1.1. They're doing the .1 things again.
1.1.
The last issue Spider-Man actually was pretty good. So I kind of, when I say this, last issue was a marked improvement. And an issue where in Dan Slott's Spider-Man, that hasn't happened in quite some time. What I liked about this one is that it really did feel like it was kind of separated from the status quo of Spider-Man. This felt kind of like Spider-Man of old. There was no reference to him being rich, and it was just him slinging around, comes across an issue or a problem, then he kind of helps people along, and you just see kind of a plot develop. And there was nothing more than that. It really felt like, back in the day, a Spider-Man tale. And the art is really gritty. It's grainy. It's dark. But I think it fits the tone, because I'll talk about the tone in a minute. But it's cool how you read this, and he's swinging through New York, and he's singing, "It's the most wonderful time of the year." You're thinking like it's gonna be like a good holiday theme issue. Then all of a sudden, as he's slinging around, he comes across it's a funeral, and then goes into the guy who died actually comes up back to life, so everyone thinks he's a zombie, and it kind of goes on to a mafia lead, Don somebody, I forget the name of it, helping him out, and it might be the link to it. It totally, you read the first couple pages, you're like, how the heck did we end up over here? It went from Miracle on 34th Street to Walking Dead in the same issue, but
Nice.
But it was done well, though. I keep going back to it. It really did feel like this is an old Peter Parker, the Spider-Man I loved back in the day type of story. Now, he ends up meeting with Santarians. I have no idea who they are. This could go totally different direction issue 2, but for this one issue, it felt kind of like it played to the nostalgia part of me. I felt like an old Peter Parker Spider-Man story, which I've been missing for quite a while. So, but it was good. It continues that trend. Maybe these .1s are better than the main plot, which is Dan Slott. Maybe has he just been on there a little bit too long? I don't know. But
People have been saying that for 5 of his last 10 years. Yeah, I don't know. All I know is I'm kind of interested in reading Spider-Man again sometime, but it won't be until there's a new writer on the book. So, for whatever that's worth. Yeah, right on. So, Ryan C. has a question. Speaking of Inhumans, where is the Karnak book at? Everybody remember that Karnak book, issue number 1? How long has it been since issue number 1 came out?
A while.
Or is it ever going to come out? The only thing I can say to that is I know that Warren Ellis, the writer, had some sort of a health scare that, like, emergency put him in the hospital with a mystery illness, some sort of pulmonary something or other or something. So that may be why there was a delay. That kind of, clearly when you think you're going to die, writing a comic book probably isn't the top of your list, because all of the books that he was producing, they all went long. Trees went long. A lot of those books went long. So
Injection too.
Yeah, Injection also. I think that's why. Yeah, because it was on the break, but the break went longer than what I think was typical. So I really think that's the reasoning behind that is that Ellis had some sort of health issue go on, and that just kind of put the brakes on what he was doing. That's my guess. I don't know that for sure. I've not heard from him that that's some sort of unofficial excuse or from anybody at Marvel. But you're right. It has been a long time since that first issue, right? We're on issue 3 of a lot of these books now, right? Yeah. And we've only seen issue 1 of it. So, yeah, that's a bummer. I'd like to get that back because that first issue is fun. So, yeah. Any other Marvel news?
I can't think of any.
Yeah.
Only the battle over whether or not Iron Fist should be portrayed by a Asian as opposed to a Caucasian. half a dozen, one or the other. I mean, the comic book character has always been Caucasian. Not that that means that the TV character needs to be that. I don't care. I guess for me, it doesn't matter. But then I'm not looking for representation because clearly I'm an old white guy and I have lots of representation. So I mean, my opinion doesn't mean a whole lot. But before anybody asks, because somebody will float it out there at some point, I don't. It doesn't matter to me. You know, whatever's going to work. I've been fairly happy with all of the Netflix Marvel stuff that's happened so far. All I gotta say is bring on the next thing because I've enjoyed the heck out of all the stuff I've watched.
No, not yet. I'm gonna be watching Jessica Jones this week finally.
Oh,
so.
are you? Okay.
All right.
It's like, please wait a little while.
Yeah.
I need to catch up first.
No, right. You know, well, that's true. I've got lots of other television. Don't get me wrong. I've got months worth of all kinds of television to watch, so it's no big deal as far as that goes. I'm just saying that you know, the more the merrier, because like I said, I've really been enjoying that stuff. So
yeah,
just excited to see it in whatever form or another. So yeah. Anything else, Marvel wise?
I don't think so.
Cool. Well, let's roll on to independent books, which, as per usual lately, is where most of my reading has been. What do we got? What do we want to talk about? Anybody?
Trying to remember what came out this week and what didn't.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Clean room. Okay, let's talk clean room so we can well, at least in my case, I can talk good things about Gail Simone as opposed to
Definitely.
the train wreck that was. What do you guys think? Everybody picked this up but Luke, so.
I feel like it's a
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, sorry to
Go ahead,
cut
Christina.
you off, but yeah. I'm only getting bits and pieces of the story, and none of it's connecting, and I just feel like I'm just being bombarded with weird stuff, which I don't mind. It's all cool, but it's really not enough to kind of keep me reading, I guess.
Oh, okay. And see, for me, this issue, I finally felt like I have some level of understanding of what the story might be about. It felt like enough pieces kind of landed together. I feel like I go, okay, if it's an adversarial book, I feel like now I kind of have a sense of who maybe the good guys are. I kind of have a sense of maybe who I think the bad guys are. The whole heaven and hell thing, that there's this other thing going on out there that Ms. Mueller is after. And then there's the people in between. Like Ms. Mueller, I think, is kind of a crazy person who's out for her own, the person who runs the clean room. I kind of think that she's out for her own shit, and whatever, she doesn't care who that screws in the process. So she can be a good force or a bad force, kind of in between. But whatever she's up against, seemingly by the end page, strikes me as definitely being bad news. I don't know. I kind of like this issue. There's some of the randomness of it I liked. The aggressiveness of Ms. Mueller's like right hand lady.
Yeah.
You know, her showing up and just busting that gas attendant's arm, and then inviting you know, the heroes, you know, to waffles and ice cream, and then her just aggressively hitting on her and stuff. I'm just like, I don't know. I guess I kind of like that. It just
that banter between her and our main character in that bar was probably my favorite part of the whole scene, because it was almost like a breaking the fourth wall moment when she was like, "What the hell just happened?" Because like that's what I was thinking. What the hell just happened? Right.
It's like she was just so aggressive. It's just like, what? I don't know. I just kind of, you know. And before she could have time to really react to it, of course, the woman's pulled away to go do something else.
Yeah, she's like, I find you obscenely attractive, but if you go against me, I'm gonna beat you with a tire iron. It's like, what?
Right. Let's just go let's go get the whatever the equivalent of a cheap box of wine, find a hotel room, and you know, and go nuts. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Yeah.
Well, then that's my question: is do you think the right hand woman is a believer? Because it almost seems to me like when they're saying she's in the room and she's very engaged, and she goes, "I don't care. This is important." Because it seemed like she was more concerned about the PR, the person who died, than what could be going on in the room.
I don't know if it's the PR. I think that she's the practical person in the group. She's probably the right-hand man because she's the one that keeps everything grounded as far as the realistically, we need to get, clearly she means business all the time. Let's get shit taken care of. I mean, she clearly tells this woman, hey, I think you're like, obscenely attractive, I want to, go have crazy sex with you, but if you F with Mueller, if you F with my boss, you're dead. I'm going to take a tire iron to you. You're going to be, dead. Does not matter. She's clearly very business, and I just think that whereas Mueller is kind of, pie in the sky, not caring about the reality of what might happen to me when I'm in the midst of what's going on, this woman is much more concerned with everybody's actual physical well-being, as the impression I got out of it.
Yeah.
The house intruder, when they first got into, they were first showing him and everything, and his face was shown, I was thinking it was a mask until they went further and further along, and then it looks like it's its actual face.
Yeah. I think he's one of the demon hell type things.
All right.
I mean, Christina, you're right in a sense that they just keep, that it really is kind of like, how much weird shit can we throw on in one comic book? I mean, it's like every other page they're kind of throwing out some random thing. The guy who can only walk, he only puts his feet on the ground for 147 times because you're walking
on the angels.
You're walking on the faces of angels because their heaven's actually the soil and the worms and all that, and hell and the demons are above us. Just this random stuff that gets thrown out there. I mean, you're 100% right. It does, to some degree, feel really. Let's see how much Galeism randomness we can throw out to kind of either make you laugh at how perverse it is, or make you go, "Oh, that's messed up." For some reason, for me, it feels okay in this, and it does not in the Secret Six, as far as how it's working there.
Because I like you said, I think there is enough explanation to keep it going. Just the same as I can appreciate how when they do the White Room, they put them in the White Room, so then they don't have to do a background, they don't have to really color in all the objects, because it's all sterile white, but it still works.
I think the horror genre might be better suited for the randomness too.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on in the whole bathroom, though. This whole scene.
Oh, yeah.
We kind of got pulled away from that before we got to actually see what was going on. The person that's supposedly somebody trapped in there and whatnot, so I don't know.
Yeah, it seemed like a non-thing, because they just sort of wiped that away. It's like, oh, there's no one there or something, but...
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess I'm accepting of all the weird dangling plot elements and things that just get thrown out in this, because it feels like it's supposed to be that way. Whereas in the Secret Six, it's a mess. It doesn't. Yeah. It's not. There's no. I don't know what. I want to say cohesion, but I guess I don't know. There's 100% cohesion here. But I do feel like this issue, to me, it gave me a sense of sides and a sense of dynamics beyond just this woman lost her husband to some self-help group, which clearly has some other ness going on. So,
do you think that there is a sci-fi element to it, or do you think that is a misinterpretation from the subject, and he has had a spiritual issue and he is now just covering it over with the idea of science?
It depends on how you want to interpret sci-fi.
Okay.
Is it sci-fi in the traditional sense of a sci-fi novel? No. But.
So you don't think there's going to be aliens? It will just be.
Well, no. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, I guess we have a discussion. Yes, it could easily be science as much as, but then that's kind of my own personal interpretation of a lot of religion, science, and aliens and everything else. Depending on what your grounded beliefs in depends on how you interpret what's happening, right? I mean, clearly this one guy to start out with, it seems very heaven and hell. Then it becomes kind of what seems to be like an alien abduction, right?
Yes, yeah.
But to start out with, he's talking in terms of
angels and demons, yeah.
Right. So, yeah, I don't know. If you're asking me, do I think which it is? I don't know. Clearly, the guy's been
Or could it be
messed
both?
with.
I guess that's the only thing is, can you have a story with both elements?
Sure.
All right.
I don't see why not. And like I said, depending on what your
Version.
background is, aliens are aliens, or they could just as easily be angels or devils, right?
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Depending on what your worldview is of life.
Religion. Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Right.
So Christina, you're talking like you don't think you'll keep getting it?
I'll probably keep getting it for a while, but it seems like one of those books that if I get tired of it, I can just easily drop it or pick it back up and trade.
Sure.
You get yours ordered, don't you, Christina, or do you have a shop?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I get them ordered, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and see, for me, all of these Vertigo books get a little more of a running room for me because, of course, I'm still buying them at the extreme discounted rate. So, it's like 99 cents or $1.10 or something like that. So it's not killing me in my wallet at this point. All of these books will get a closer look at hanging on to once that discount starts disappearing. Then I'll have to start pondering it a little harder. But yeah. So what else? What else we got for indie books?
Do you want to stick with Vertigo if anyone else got Lucifer?
I sure did.
Anyone else? Just us two?
Just us, I guess.
I haven't read my copy yet, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think anything we say in here is going to really spoil
That's fine.
anything.
I don't spoil if you want to. I don't care.
Well, but like I said, I don't think there's anything necessarily in this that's like zoinks. So what'd you think, Luke?
I think I'm going into this new reader. I don't know. I don't have too much, and I thought it was pretty easy to grasp. You get the concept of what's happening a little bit. I like. I see a good concept can really kind of go on for a little bit here, And it just has like an overall good feel. It's kind of, I don't know if you want to say, you don't want to say horror. Definitely not that much, but definitely a good weird, and then you get the religious kind of mythology into everything, which it just has a good feel to it. So
yeah, well,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, horror in the sense that you're clearly we're dealing with Lucifer. We're dealing with the guy who reigned over hell. So if part of your horoscope is devils, demons, that sort of thing, they're going to be in here. So that aspect of horror, that genre of horror, will be in the book in some sense. So yeah, this is taking off from a book that was out, quite some time ago. I'm not well versed in that. I am well versed in Gabriel is in this book also. I'm well versed in his situation that happened in they actually do a Hellblazer issue number 66. Mm. Hellblazer issue number 66 was like I don't know 18 years ago. So that's pretty awesome for the reference a book that far back. And this is a take off of a character that was introduced also in Sandman. This version, I shouldn't say this character because clearly Lucifer's been around for a hell of a lot longer than comic books have. But this version of the character, and they do a good job in here of kind of giving you a brief synopsis of kind of like what he did. He gave hell up at some point. He goes to the mortal world, and then from the mortal world he goes off wandering the multiverse of whatever, and has come back. And he's come back. He's hurt for some reason. He's got this bleeding wound, on his side, which I'm always curious about. If you want to read a lot of religion into it, it's curious that he's bleeding basically from the same side that Christ bled from. If you want to get into it that deep, is that on purpose, or is that just conveniently that it happens to be that? So he's back, and it seems to be that he's kind of like doing a last hurrah. Like, he's hurt. He might be in trouble. He's going back home because he just kind of likes Earth. He likes LA. That's just the place to hang out at in his final days. It's kind of the impression of. Meanwhile, the heavenly hosts are freaking out because the presence, as they refer to him most of the time, God hasn't been seen for a very long time. The last time God was seen was Lucifer had a conversation with him, and he's been gone a long time, and the heavenly hosts have been waiting for him to come back. Well, there's a crack in the chair that the heavenly host sits on, and in that crack they can see potentially that there is no God, that the presence is gone or is dead. And so they're freaking out, and they need it investigated. They can't do an investigation themselves because they don't want hell to know that God might be dead. So they enlist Gabriel. Gabriel is a fallen angel also. He has like given up his angelhood and his heart and a bunch of other stuff to love somebody on the mortal plane. They decide to use him because he's still kind of a good guy, even though he's been thrown out of heaven, as like their secret investigator. And he confronts Lucifer because Lucifer's shown back up at the exact same time that supposedly God has disappeared. So clearly Lucifer is suspect number one. Lucifer says it's not him. And so it looks like right now it's going to be a team-up book between Lucifer and Gabriel, and they're going to hunt down whoever it is that killed off dear old dad. And meanwhile, hell has caught wind that something has happened up above, and are going to be doing their own poking around and whatnot. I liked it. This is one of those books that feels like a good old-fashioned Vertigo book. Mind you, that's partially because of the fact it's taking a character that there were 100+ issues of Lucifer, I think, in the past. It's a character that's been around for quite some time in this aspect, and it feels like that. And I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to enjoy it quite a bit.
If I really have Go ahead.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Does it have a more of a horror vibe or urban fantasy? Because Holly Black, she wrote horror, urban fantasy young adult novels. I think this might be her first time she's written a comic. So, is it more horror or urban fantasy?
It is more urban fantasy. What would you consider Sandman?
More on the fantasy side. Sandman?
This is the same kind of thing. I'm not saying it's Sandman, but it's the same sort of a thing. I mean, he is Lucifer from the Sandman book. I mean, he walked out of hell and left Morpheus and everybody else behind to take care of the problem initially. More things happen there after that. So it's that. I mean, they're walking around L.A. They're hanging out in Lucifer's bar. Lucifer has a bar that other nasties hang out in, but they're in L.A. They're to me, I don't call it horror, even though it's got, like I said, it's got demons and devils in it and stuff. To me, it's more on the urban fantasy realm of things. It is where I would put it at. It's not. Yeah, it's not. I wouldn't call it horror. In my book, it's not horror. It's not like. I'm drawing a blank on a lot of the other horror books that's come out by Vertigo right now. They're clearly like Survivor's Club. It's clearly more of a horror type book. What else? Some of the other. But no, this to me it's more of a Sandman kind of a vibe. It is what it feels to me like.
I said the only thing, if I had to critique it, it was the art was good, but barring the first couple pages, the backgrounds were real plain. So you had a lot of good detail and color on the body character types and stuff like that. But if you look at the back, it's just real vanilla. So, but I don't know if that's
it's
thing.
It's browns and golds. A lot of it is browns and golds. The backgrounds are no background, or just enough to define that he's standing in front of a bar or that sort of a thing. Here's our heavenly host in heaven. Here is heaven on the pin on the head of a pin. And that's the artist. The artist is Gabret. He was doing the last work he did was Agents of Loki. Artist, but I think his art style works really well. To me, like I said, it has that kind of feel. The coloring of it and stuff has the feel of a traditional Vertigo book. Nothing about it is bright. It's all I love the final page too. They show us who's currently reigning in hell, and the fact that she's basically nailed to the throne. I'm not familiar with that character really, so this may get me interested in going back and seriously picking up the old Lucifer run just to see how it matches in. I know not very long ago there was a big long either a read it interview or whatever with the author. It sounds like Christine's more familiar with the author. I'm not familiar with her, but I was seeing some of her answers on Twitter, and she says that she is kind of harkening back to the Sandman and the old Lucifer stuff, but clearly with her own thing in mind, but with the knowledge of what was going on in those books. So. Yeah. You'll have to let me know, Christine, when you read it. Where it falls at for you as far as that kind of book goes. What else? Anything else?
Klaus?
Oh, okay. Well, we our Christmas
I didn't realize Mike was picking that up.
a Christmas book.
Yeah, I was a little late on the first one, so I snuck that one in and this one. So.
Nice.
What do we think?
I enjoyed it. I'm just waiting for it to get really weird.
That's what I'm dreading.
Yeah, it's like it's too normal, right? Right now it hasn't gone. I mean, the first issue we had that little bit of hallucinatory kind of psychedelia, let's make some toys thing go on. But beyond that, it's been kind of beyond that. Really, quite frankly, to me, it's like it's like one of those animated claymation. Which one is it? The one that basically tells the story of Santa Claus when his name was Claus, and there's the Baron or whatever in the town that keeps the kids from having toys. This is a retelling of that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is this kind of story about Santa Claus? Is this? I mean, is this steeped in more tradition than I'm unaware of? I mean, or is Morrison just kind of stealing that story and putting his own spin on it, or is there out there that I'm not aware of a more traditional version of the Santa Claus origin story, and this is somewhat close to it? Anybody know?
The stuff that I know of that's like Norwegian descent and all that, and Saint, whatever that they interpreted. I mean, I don't think it's anything like that as far as I know. I think it was, I think this is like you said, more an American take that he kind of picked up and was running with, but it seems a lot like a lot of my, medieval comic books. If it wasn't claws on it, I would think it was just one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's why I keep waiting for us to go crazy, too. I don't know that I'm actually enjoying it that much. I mean, I'm going to keep getting it because I pretty much have it mostly ordered already anyway. I mean, I like the art. The art is fine. It's just, I don't know, it's just...
It's too tame for you two. I guess.
Maybe that's it. It's
Yeah.
too tame.
And I'm just like, this is great. I don't want it to get really, really weird where I don't know what's going on. Morrison fashion.
Santa Claus is coming to town. Fred Astaire. Thank you very much, Ryan, for reminding me exactly which of those stop animated puppetry things it was.
I could
yeah,
do without the child. I guess that part is...
See, I just want him beaten within an inch of his life, or past an inch of his life. That kid just needs to go. I mean, I get we're not supposed to like him, but I mean, I really, really don't like him.
Yeah,
I mean, to the point where I dread the panels that he's with. I'm marginally curious about the fact that his mom has secretly stashed away a version of the toy bird, so that's interesting because that implies that she knew of him in the past.
Yeah.
But I mean, this role he is playing seems new to me. It doesn't seem like it's an old role, so that aspect of it's kind of, I'm interested in that, but.
Well, the fact that he knew how to make the toys and all that, I guess it makes me feel that there's, there is some backstory to it.
You sure that isn't the peyote, though? You sure it isn't the magic flute? You sure it isn't the magic flute alien peyote that makes him make toys?
This whole thing is just him on a drug trip. That's the whole payoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do drugs, kids, because you can make cool toys if you do drugs.
Right. That might be more likely, yeah.
Okay, I just was, I don't know. I mean, what is this, 6 issues? So it ends in June.
Yeah.
So we're in the heat of summer. We'll have our answers, I guess. I don't know. Or no answers at all. No answers at all as it rolls off into the Morris sphere and goes all bugwhopper on us,
And
right?
Morrison will be like, "What? You didn't get it? It was so obvious."
Come on, read it again. Read it again.
Because we didn't believe in Santa, he stopped existing.
There, that's what it is. Plain and simple as that. Jeez. Alrighty. What else we got? Anybody?
Wicked and Divine.
Oh, love this issue of Wicked and Divine.
So yeah, so up to this point, 'cause I said this in my video, this character Sockmet is probably one of my least favorite, just because we haven't really gotten any fleshed out character of her.
She's by now my favorite.
Well, what was it, the orgy panel? That was like the first thing we see, is just her waking up in an orgy. I'm just like, okay.
Well, okay, my first thought is, I don't know that I'm going to read a Brandon Graham, be able to read a Brandon Graham Wicked and Divine book and accept it, because first off, I don't think Brandon Graham can do straight. I don't know that he knows how to, you know what I mean? Just kind of draw a straight scene. It's always got some level of humor in it, some weird, some quirky something. I just don't. So I've just been struggling with the idea of what, because I've really enjoyed most of these so far. So I've really been struggling with what the idea of his was going to be like.
Yeah.
So of course it opens up in typical Brandon, in my opinion, typical Graham fashion. It's a big giant orgy. Lots of naked bodies, lots of weird. If you spend a lot of time looking at the panels, there's some seriously extracurricular activities going on in it, which is cool. That's fine. I mean, because I dig Brandon Graham, but I dig Brandon Graham doing Brandon Graham. So, the question was, can he do somebody else? Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your.
Pretty much this whole thing was playing on the concept that pretty much there was a scene with Ananka and Sockmet, and it was like, dogs do everything they can to love you or whatever, and cats just don't give a fuck. And that's pretty much the whole thing. Sockmet has no feelings towards anything. She doesn't care about the past or the future. She just cares about the present, and that's about it.
But you know why?
Right,
but you know the part that really struck home with me and made me really love this book? You know why she doesn't care? You know why she doesn't feel? Because she's a freaking alcoholic.
Right.
She is so drunk off her ass all the time that she is numb. Not because that's what she really wants to be, I don't think. She's drunk because when she's not drunk, she does feel.
She feels hungry.
She eats her dad, doesn't she?
Yeah. She feels hungry and starts eating people.
She sobers up and she freaking goes out, and to the best of my knowledge, she eats her dad. She freaking eats her dad. And they're like, they're like rushing in. The other gods are rushing in. Oh my God, you don't leave her alone. You never let her sober up. Get her a bottle. To me, that was just, striking. Beyond the Brandon Graham art, it was just like, holy shit. Here's this woman that's clearly super powerful. I mean, what's his face? Ball is like throwing his power around, acting all much, buff and macho, and saying, "Hey, this might be the apocalypse. We better all be, ready. You better be training your powers." And while he's talking smack, she just like knocks him down and goes, "Hey, and she's like all over him. She's like, "I'm always ready." That's how big of a badass she is.
Yeah.
But it's like, just keep feeding her the bottle. I was like, oh, I don't know. To me, it just really was striking. I mean, this was
a lot of these have been really striking. I thought the Terra issue was very striking in a different way too. A lot of them were like that in its own way.
Yeah.
There are also some really like lighthearted things. And the part where she's on the roof and the cell phone goes off, and she just taps it off the roof. That's kind of what cats do, just knock it over for no reason.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Really cool.
Did you read the back of this book?
I have not read all of it. All I read was the visual part where they're talking about picking up Brandon Graham to do the job. I didn't look past that.
They said that the next issue comes out in April. Yeah.
April?
April.
January, February, March. A 4-month break?
They give a reason why. I kind of skimmed that because I was still. Yeah, I was like, April, what? Yeah, I know.
I mean, everybody needs a break and whatnot. I mean, I get that.
I
Come
forget what the
on,
reasoning
man.
was, but I know I was so bummed.
Come on, man. Oh, that
That's the other thing.
hurts.
But that's the other thing I said on my whole video, because once they get through these like one-shot stories with the characters, where's this book going to go? Are they going to continue with the whole Baphomet situation, or are they going to bring back the whole Laura situation that kind of left there before McKelvey left?
Well, no, I think we're going back to all of that. I mean, I think this was just kind of a give us a background on these characters. You know, give us just some kind of interesting backstories to these people. You know, to give us some information on motivations and that sort of stuff, a little deeper behind the scenes. And you know, like I said, I think now what we're going to get is we're going to get back into those stories, right? We're going to get back into the dead gods and Morgan being locked up. I mean, because clearly in this issue, Morgan implies that she knows exactly how to break out of the cage that she's in, the Morgan.
Yeah.
So
It says in here that we're taking a little break to realign our production schedule, whatever that means.
Well, I mean, I know, you know, like I said, Jamie's been doing Phonogram, you know, this whole time. So, you know, he still hasn't had a break. I mean, he jumped right from one right to the next. So, you know, that may be.
But
you
still,
know?
April hurts.
Wow. Yeah, I know. The exciting as this has been, and like, you know, when we know where the regular storyline ended off at with some oh shit kind of things, you know, let's get back to it, man. Let's get back to it.
I know.
Ryan's saying basically that's to let McKelvey to draw most of the first arc.
Oh, okay.
Because the next arc, and Gillian said that the two of them may have a surprise project in between. I don't know how they would fit a project in between on that. I mean, because 4 months is a long time to wait for this book, but 4 months isn't a long time to try and squeeze something else in between. So, I don't know. At any rate, no, I hadn't heard that. I mean, I'm glad you said something, because I probably went 3 months now from going, where the hell's the next issue at? You know, but and then be scouring around trying to figure out if it got canceled or something weird like that. But don't know. Awesome though. I really enjoyed the hell out of it. Gave me a whole perspective on that character that no clue. And
I think the only one I don't really know too much about is Minerva, the young one.
Wisdom, right?
I think that's the only one hasn't really been fleshed out too much.
Yeah. Exciting stuff. Anything else you want to say about Wiccan Divine, Christina?
No.
Okay.
No.
What else? What else we got? I still have a few.
I picked up Mage Killer.
Oh, okay, awesome.
So Dragon Age Mage Killer. It's a Greg Rucka book with Carmen Pernino on art. It's good. It's that Dungeons and Dragons feel. These people are hunting down mages, and they get hired by a secret group. And so that's just basically the beginning. It's definitely good. You really enjoy the characters, get to know them. It's a 5-part series, I believe, and I figured Greg Rucka, I always liked his stuff, so I feel I could trust him for 5 issues.
Cool. So that's tied into the game, right?
Possibly. I read it and I felt like anybody could just pick it up.
Oh.
It does say EA, BioWare, whatever.
Okay.
But it's Dark Horse Comics. I think anybody can pick it up, read it if you like that kind of stuff. I don't think it's too far outside or too stuck in any gameplay or rules that it doesn't make sense.
Cool. Okay. Well, did anybody pick up The Goddamned?
I did. Haven't read it yet though.
Oh man, this is so hardcore, kind of old heavy metal barbarian hack and slash porn. Horrible as I say that, and to say I really love it. I really do. Not tons necessarily happen in it. It's all about the imagery. I feels to me like you get You get a good look at Noah in this issue. About half of the book is Noah, and Noah is, yeah, he's building an ark because he knows that the storm is coming. Because of course, man right now is pretty vile and horrible, and he pretty much lets them know that they're vile and horrible and disgusting, and Noah is no joke in this. He can swing an axe like nobody's business. But we get to see some Noah in this. We get more of Cain. We get some more of his background. I mean, clearly we all know the story of Cain if you have any knowledge of Christian biblical history. But we get a little more into his kind of his psyche, his thoughts, his feelings in it. But I really dug it. Guerrero's art is just so cool in this thing. Like I said, to me, it feels so much like grabbing here's an big old splash page, but it just reminds me so much of grabbing a hold of an old heavy metal book from the late 70s, early 80s. This is Noah and all of his people, except these are like, I don't know, like rat men or whatnot. I mean, this started out when I thought, wow, that guy's got a pretty serious beard, but I realized his entire face is shaggy. I mean, he's actually an animal person. So clearly Noah doesn't save all of the people and all of the animals, because none of those made it, to the best of my knowledge, off the ark. They're riding lizards that look kind of, they have horses' tails, but they look like small T-Rexes with horses' tails. Clearly, those don't make it off the ark either. But I don't know. It's just really, really cool. It's really, the cavemen look very cavemen-like. The Neanderthalish, they're covered in bones and hair, and like I said, there's lots of people chopping other people apart and stuff in it. It's very desolate, but I really like it. I really, it's pretty cool. I'm gonna keep reading it. Like I said, I just really like the way it looks and whatnot. Story isn't deep at this point, but there's some good stuff in it. There's some interesting moments with Cain, kind of remembering his childhood and moments in it that you would not, at least me personally, I would not think about Cain. I mean, because Cain is notorious for having killed Abel and kind of starting this whole evil thing, and we get some other pieces of him that it's not so simple. I mean, if Cain is a real person, it's not as easy as he's just a bad guy. So kind of like that aspect of it too. But the visuals of it are what I really dig. So. Have you got anything else? I have more books I can talk about. So.
Tokyo Ghost.
Tokyo Ghost. Right on.
You got the better cover. I'm disappointed. I don't like this cover I got.
Oh, yeah, I got the. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is the standard cover, right?
Yeah, my shop had like all of these cover. And I was like, aw.
Okay. Okay. What you think, Brandon?
I'm still enjoying it a lot. I like, because the first issue we were talking about, I read 2, 3, and 4 together. I was behind, so this all like bleed together. But the first issue we were talking about how it didn't really have a whole bunch of character depth. It was more about the world.
Right.
I feel like now, issue 4, it's got a lot of character to it, between Deborah and Teddy or Led or whatever.
Teddy.
Yeah. Which I enjoy, because there's no secret that's kind of why I read comics is the character moments. Was it this issue? This issue, the two of them get attacked by this samurai, right? The samurais? That's where it started?
Right, they get jumped, they get ambushed by somebody from their past, yeah.
Right, they're the group that bullied him a long time ago, and then he got revenge on them by, like, being so
slaughtering
bad.
most of them, right.
Yeah. So it's more like who was in the right in this situation.
Right.
So it created this moral dilemma where you don't really know who you should root for. And in the grand scheme of things, like who is really bad in this, it's not really, you know what I mean? Or are they both bad? And I kind of really like that dynamic. we also get a surprise death, and it's not a death. She's not dead yet, right? She's just injured.
Severely.
But that was a surprise.
Severely. She gets ran through. Yeah. Well, person. Yeah, literally. Yeah, that was a shock to me. It was like, what? So.
Yeah, because we only found out about her the end of issue 2. It's like, wow, we just knew about her, and they're gonna.
Right.
That was a shock to me.
Yeah.
I still enjoy this. I enjoy the how they use addiction with Led or with Teddy. I don't know how to and his choices at the end of this book. I don't know. I don't really. You guys can. I don't know how else to really sum it all up.
You did a fine job. Because yeah, I mean that's really this issue is the dynamics. You get this great kind of the opening scene is Teddy's coming off of all of this being hyped up on drugs, being hyped up on social media. He's finally, it seems like he's finally truly becoming clean. He's finally clean. He's having honest to God feelings and honest to God memories. He's remembering a time he had with his dad right before his dad died, and it's a really good memory. I mean, it's this memory of him sitting down with his dad, looking at a photograph album before his dad basically jacks into his own addiction for the final time and just dies. But it's this, it's this great kind of scene while she, the person who's really excited to be here, is continuing to have these nightmares of being back in LA where everything is gross, everything is all the disgusting, polluted future that was shown in the first issue of the book. So we get that, Teddy seeming to be quickly, and then of course it rolls into this thing from his past comes back to get him. This guy who's part of this group that basically helped create Teddy. They created the situation that made Teddy what he is. Teddy became this hulking, monstrous guy because he gets beat up by a gang of neighbors in front of his girlfriend. It embarrasses him so bad that he decides he's going to go get roided out, become this big, powerful dude. And then it happens to be while he's driving around being this constable wrecking people, he finds this group of kids and wrecks them. I mean, he literally rips the arms off of one of them and beats them with the bloody end. He lights another one on fire and burns another one on top of the fire of another one. I mean, he is brutally, savagely wrecks these. That's his form of justice. So now these guys are going to come back and get him because they were just kids fooling around. What they did wasn't that bad in this guy's mind. But what Teddy did to them, what Led did to them, is so horrible, like Brennan said, that they're going to. So you're stuck with this whole who did worse? Who created which monster kind of a thing.
And can those guys actually consider themselves victims?
Yeah. Right, and they think, and their excuse is they're attacking, they're going to kill Ted because they know that Teddy is going to screw up this paradise. That's their guys. Well, it comes right down to it. He finally does cop to the fact that you're right. This is all about vengeance and revenge. But I should have that. I should be allowed to have that. And it all kind of goes to crap. It goes to crap all the way around. I mean, Teddy gets wrecked in this issue, physically, and he ultimately goes back to his addictions. And the way this thing ends at the very, very end, things can clearly get ugly again. The Utopia didn't last very long for them. So I'll be interested to see what's next. I love the art.
If it did, it would be a boring book. Of course, it wouldn't last very long.
Sure. But I wasn't sure exactly how it was going to fade back. I mean, I wasn't sure somebody from LA was going to come to get them, and it's not. They're going to get themselves, kind of a thing. And it'll be curious to see, is it just one time? Because he's the typical addict. I just needed this just one more time to get me through this rough point, and then I'll be okay. And he doesn't have the people to help him like he did last time, because clearly they're messed up. But I love the art in this. Clearly, Sean Murphy is a great artist. The visceralness of the fights. There's people getting hit with arrows in here. There's people chopping limbs off. It's all very, very well done. He draws a cool red panda. So it's all good. Like it way better than the first issue, but I understand why the way the first issue was. Is it really sets the groundwork for just how crap the whole thing is, to know it might be something that you want to escape. So, whereas I was kind of hard on that first issue, it works really well with what's going on, because now we're seeing the story that I expected to get. I just expected to get it in the first issue, and we didn't, but that's okay.
So I got a random thing to say.
Sure.
So I read issues 2, 3, and 4 together.
Uh,
Do you remember? I think it was issue 2. They met with their boss named Black.
uh-huh.
It was like that old guy who was naked in the bathtub or whatever.
Right.
When I saw him, his face looks exactly like the Dos Equis guy.
Oh,
He does, doesn't he, right?
Yeah, so I just wanted him to say, like, stay thirsty, my friends, or something, because he looks such like that. Anyway.
Right on. Well, he is kind of to some degree, he is kind of kind of a mixture of all that kind of stuff, right? I mean, he is kind of that. I mean, clearly, he's this kind of old fat guy set naked in probably the only fresh water on the planet, or at least in L.A., with his hot naked babes hanging all over him. He's like a combination of that and what's his face, the guy that owns Hustler. He's kind of a combination of those people.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of a combination of those people is what he struck me as. But yeah, I can see that.
Just his face looked a lot like that, and I just started laughing. Anyway.
Sure.
Random.
Sure. That's awesome.
Anyway.
Stay thirsty, my friends.
Yeah.
Stay thirsty.
Yes. I don't always drink, but when I do. Throw a few commercials in there. Right on. What else? I read Exodus: The Life After. Brandon,
I did not get to that one yet.
I read it.
right on. So Brandon, you did get number 1 though?
Yes, I got number 1, and I did get number 2, but they didn't put it in my file. I had to get off the shelf, and they only had 1 left, so I got lucky. But I haven't read it yet, so.
Okay, so you're gonna get them corrected on that, right? Great issue. I mean, I'll just kind of say this: awesome issue. I still love this series. Some bad stuff's gonna happen. I mean,
Yeah.
just middle management's gotten themselves screwed in this issue, right? And of course we get some more of the potato god.
Potato God.
Not a rock, a potato. I'm just tickled by this book. It amuses me to no end. There's just some awesome smart parts here. I love the conversation between the potato and Hemingway. Hey, I really like that book about the fish. You really get me. I just love that. I'm like, oh, that's so great. You just envision Hemingway trying to wrap his head around the fact that he's like, well, because in this issue they actually get to meet the potato, and you can see Hemingway's kind of like a sudden panic. Wait, we're really gonna get to meet him? It's like, oh, yeah, I mean, knowing what I know of Hemingway and the stuff he's written and whatnot, the idea of him suddenly, oh, wait a second, I mean, the guy's committed a few sins in his time. To suddenly then be confronted with, the Maker would be a bit of a panic. I don't know. I love the aspects of it. I love the fact that at one point, the girl is bitching about her mother, and Hemingway kind of scolds her, and it's like, look, none of us choose to be born. It's just this is what we got, and you got to deal with it, whatever. And Hemingway finally goes, you quit acting like a childish kid, and he's like, but she's like, but I am a kid. I don't know. There are a lot of good lines in the book.
Yeah.
What'd you think, Christina?
Oh, I loved it. It continues to be. It's one of my favorite books out there, and I really did love the potato in this issue.
Right.
He's like, contrary to what just happened, I'm actually quite forgiving. I'm one of those forgivable gods.
Right. Yeah, I was laughing at that part too. Yeah, because that poor middle manager. I kind of liked you, Tom.
Poor Tom.
A ball about this big. It's like, oh, yeah. So yeah. I think you'll dig it, Brennan. It was pretty good. So, yeah, I mean, I don't have a clue where the book's going at this point. I mean, with what's going on right now.
Do you care?
No, it's just great. There's these great lines. I mean, I'm looking forward to possibly the Buddy God coming back at some point.
Oh,
I mean, we have no idea what's going on with Jude whatsoever. I mean, other than he's stuck in the whole loop of living this kind of horrible life that he's kind of trapped in and kind of thing. Yeah, there's just some great. I mean, like I've always say about this book, if you are really, don't mess with the mechanics of Christianity, might not be the book for you. But if you can kind of look at it and go, oh, okay, if it was run as kind of a corporation with middle management and all this kind of stuff, there's some really good laughs throughout this whole thing because it's just like the fact that the machine, well, yeah, it doesn't work really well. We thought it might last 8,000 years. Well, how long has it lasted? Well, we're up to 2016. So I mean, it's like, oops. It hasn't really worked out. But yeah, there's just a lot of aspects to it that are really, really funny. So, yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Any other books?
I don't have any more that came out this week.
I did read Red Thorn, issue number 2. I'm still just not really excited by this book. We have this main character who draws stuff. The stuff she draws comes to life. Somewhere along the way, she broke out Red Thorn, the character Red Thorn, who is an 8,000-year-old Celtic demigod. And now that he's loose, he is kind of using her to help him rewrite mythical history and setting himself up with an army and I don't know what. There's a group of people that locked him away. Clearly, he's going to be in conflict with them. This is a book that doesn't excite me. This will be the first book at this point that'll probably get dropped once my really cheap deal that I get on these Vertigo books goes away. It'll be the first one that I think gets dropped. So, just nothing about it that really grips me in any way and makes me that excited by it. So, I wish the art on the cover looked more like the art on the inside. The art on the inside is kind of a well, I kind of like that picture just because she's kind of cute, but it's very basic. It's very basic in its elements, and it's too clean. It's too clean for me, I guess, is what it is. I don't know, but yeah. And that's the books I got read. I mean, I have Phonogram, which I haven't even opened up, but I do love the cover because, of course, it's
MTV.
Right. He wants his MTV. Yep. Dire Straits. Yep. A beautiful knockoff of the Dire Straits. And this comic, like I said, has been nailing this era, this mid to late '80s era of music, television, and whatnot. I mean, they've just been from the Aha videos to this cover and whatnot. Those aspects of it have been dead on and awesome so far, because of course that's the era that I grew up in. That was my high school years. That makes it all the more fun for me. So yeah, that's cool. And I also got BPRD Hell on Earth, but I haven't read it yet either. Yeah, my weekend books. I don't know of any independent kind of news. Anybody? We're coming up. We've got a couple weeks, and Lucifer, the TV show, starts up here in a couple weeks on Fox. I'm sure I'll watch a few episodes of it because if nothing else, it comes on after X-Files, and I'll be watching X-Files, I'm sure. So, yeah, I don't know of anything else as far as that goes. We want to talk last week's books.
Sure, yeah.
So last week's books, I picked up 22 issues last week, so not that I have any intentions of talking about them all.
Start at one and work through.
There we go. Holy crap.
Oh, boy.
I know, it's disgusting. So, anything in particular anybody's burning to talk about? I want to talk Batman, at least briefly.
Yeah, you can do that. Start with Batman.
You up for a little bit of Batman, Luke?
Luke,
Yeah.
Did you read Batman?
No, I didn't.
You haven't read that issue? Because,
No.
I mean, the only part of it I really want to talk about a whole lot is, like, the last page or
The
two.
last page, yeah. Well,
What's your
take?
what?
I tell you what, if anyone else other than Snyder would have brought him back, I would have felt a little bit cheated a little bit. I think really, Snyder giveth and Snyder taketh away.
So Snyder just gets a pass because he's Snyder. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying his run is just a giant Joker story. Spoiler, yeah, freaking Joker's back. So I mean, I think it's not have him back in it while Snyder's run's still going. It just feels like the run's incomplete.
Okay.
Now I'm curious to see where if he doesn't know. He's kind of like Bruce right now.
Oh, come on. He knows. He's already got the shit-eater smile on his face when he's sitting there. He's all relaxed back going, hell yeah.
Well, technically, that's been him the whole entire incarnation. You're looking at him if he's Red Hood 1 or you're talking about the comedian back at the Killing Joke. That's especially Red Hood 1. He was all giddy, goofy.
It's just pure coincidence that he's sitting on the same damn park bench that Bruce is, huh?
Possibly.
Oh,
No.
come on. Come on.
Why does Bruce go back to there? It's because he's drawn back to there because, I mean, obviously
Okay.
Bruce
So
knows a little more now, but...
okay, so that brings me to the other part, and I'm pretty sure it was in this issue. Is this the issue that he has the conversation with Duke?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that also, because I have some beefs with that. First and foremost, holy shit, it's another person who knows who
Bruce.
Batman is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Now,
God.
I will give it to you. That was a heck of a stretch for Duke to make that connection.
It's the Tim Drake logic.
So clearly Tim Drake is
Good point, Mike.
third.
Good point.
Is the third best detective because I think Duke had even less information and he nailed it down. So,
I like the train scene. I like how that kind of went though.
So the whole him kind of throwing it in his face without throwing it in his face. Do you think this is like the last temptation of Christ for Bruce? Do you really think it's really him just not wanting to know because he wants to live this different life? Okay, so here's my question. In all of the Snyder run, because that's really what we have to go with, in the Snyder run that we've read, has his life as Batman seemed so damaged and so out of whack that he would want to go back to living this simple life instead of continuing to pursue forwards as Batman, wreaking justice on the bad.
No.
I don't.
No.
Me personally, I don't buy it. Now, if that scene and this what's happening to Bruce right now had come on the tail of Batman, R.I.P., where Grant Morrison really truly drug him through, down the rabbit hole, where he's really truly psychologically busted, I can see that Bruce Wayne checking out for a while, wanting to. This is his release. This is my way out. It's my excuse to get out of it. Oh, I got brain damage, and so that's my excuse out. But this Batman, I don't feel like his life has been that bad. That he's had that bad. Granted, he had the Bat in the Family. The Death in the Family experience was a little rough, but I don't know. It still didn't seem like it was that hard on Batman. It was hard on everybody else around Batman. For this to be a I checked out kind of a moment. That's my take on it. I don't know.
That's a good. I mean, that's good. I mean, that's valid. Man, I don't know. I don't know. Because you think the person who would really be looking this up would be more Alfred. We kind of haven't really seen too much of him since the whole Superman issue.
Right.
Which goes back to that device. I'm still kind of wondering now, that whole...
Was it just a red herring, or what?
Yeah, it must have been. Well, first off, Alfred just crushed it, so, I mean, who knows? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe he's a little happy now that he hasn't been legitimately he's having a good time. Maybe it's just denial. Maybe you need to bring that up. Man, that's a good point. Maybe he likes hanging out with Julie Madison with the kids in the homeless shelter. He don't got the pressure of, running Wayne Enterprises anymore. Maybe it's just life as an ordinary Joe might be good, and then oh crap, now I got that burden, and who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. So
For me, Luke, you said that this whole thing's been one big Joker story.
Mm-hmm. With the exception
me-
of Court of Owls.
For me, I am burnt out on the Joker. I know a lot of people love the Joker, and when you put the Joker in a book, there's going to be this level of hype. The hype is going to be raised by that book. For me, it seems like my enjoyment of the book has not reached everybody. Seems like set hype because of the Joker being there, and I found where people were like, "Yeah, the Joker's back." I felt very deflated when I read that. I was like, "Oh, great." I had a complete opposite response. To me, the best part of the book was the battle between Gordon and Mr. Bloom, and the most interesting piece of that book was the fact that there are multiple Blooms. That was the thing that was the most intriguing about that book for me. The fact that Bruce now knows who he was, we knew that was coming. Joker's back, we knew that was coming. It didn't really do anything for me. But up to that point, the battle was good, but the ending to big moments just did nothing for me.
well, it did a lot for me, but I don't know that it was positive. That's my thing, because you're right. The Bloom stuff should have been the aspect that was, to me, was the exciting or the important thing. But to me, it almost gets overshadowed by this stuff at the end of it. Yeah. So, are we seeing the end of the Snyder-Capullo run on Batman?
I heard Capullo keep saying that he's coming back, so I don't know. He said on Twitter anyway that he's coming
Snyder's
back.
going to get some assistance on writing, or some new blood to kind of inject into it to work with.
I don't know if it's 48 or 49, but I know Yannick Paquette's doing a guest star on one of those issues.
Right. He's filling on an issue that's to give Capullo the time to complete issue 50, which is Capullo's final issue for the time being. So.
Well, I guess the one question is do we feel that Snyder has done enough work that he gets to own a piece of the Joker, that this can be now he can say who the Joker originally was, or why he's so tied in with Bruce?
I think that's who he originally was. It's kind of like I think he's about doing as good as I think he can. You kind of dance around it, but that's kind of like the mystique of Joker. It just makes him so good. You don't know really who he is. You can kind of think you know, but you don't really know. That said, it's off some of the history. Yeah, I think he has some claim to it.
Because when they identify who Joker is in the Darkseid War, I guess I felt that Bruce's reaction made it feel like it's somebody he knows and somebody who's close to him. And I just wonder, with all the little hints, since I've quickly read through all of the Snyder stuff recently, is Snyder hinting towards who he thinks Joker is, and will reveal at the end of this arc who he thinks Joker is?
I don't want to ever know.
No, I don't think they'll ever do that. I just can't. I can't imagine them completely doing that.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, I know back in Zero Year, when they think they found the body of Red Hood 1, it turned out to be somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So does that kind of somewhat quasi-eliminate technically Red Hood 1, or is that still in fair game? No, that would actually mean Red Hood 1 is still floating around.
Right. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. Glenn knew the Joker was coming back. I don't know. To me, it felt like it should have been a different way, because this feels like it's one of two things. Either the Joker's going to immediately start messing with, it feels like the Joker's going down the exact same path that Batman is, and I don't know that I need the two of them linked together in the same sort of a way again.
Well, I guess if Joker knows who he is, wouldn't he be mad and attacking Gordon, the fake Batman? Isn't that usually what he does? Is he gets mad at whoever plays Batman because they're not really Bruce?
He has in the past.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see where it goes from here and whatnot. To me, it just felt like they were hinting at things, and some of the level of what they were hinting at, I don't know that I don't know that I buy. Like I said, it started out when I'm reading the book. I love the Bloom parts. I get to that part with Duke. Duke's, I know who you are. Throws the kind of, this in his face that you're just kind of avoiding what you should be, what your responsibility is, whatever. I don't know that I buy that. Because to me, it doesn't feel like this Bruce has experienced the things that would drive him to want to hide from what clearly he has taken on as a responsibility. And then we get smarmy Joker at the end of it. Kind of lean back. To me, feeling like he's smarter than Bruce is. That he's already got a wink and a nod going. And maybe that's just his base personality. But I don't know. Or maybe I'm just reading more into it than what it is. I wasn't excited by the end of it. Or I was excited, but not necessarily in a positive way. So, yeah. Cool. Any other books last week we want to talk about?
Secret Wars #8.
The end! The end!
Of 9!
Oh, no, it's not. The end isn't until what, February?
Yeah, they even say 8 of 9 at least now.
The never-ending story, for real.
Yeah. This continues to be just the excellent series that it has been. It has taken forever, but it's just great. The Thing is now going to confront Doom. He gets to where it's at. Franklin Richards is running the Galactus body. So he decides to have Galactus fight Thing, and they're just going at it with each other. I mean, it's just things like that keep me reading the book. Doom does decide that he needs to jump in on this. And the trustee. They bring in. So Doom basically decides he's going to try and take over. He sees Reed Richards, which is really what upsets him. He gets down there to take care of it. All of a sudden, the siege peril opens up. We get all the undead pouring through. There is a great confrontation between Doom and Thanos. And if you ever wondered what would happen out between Doom and Thanos, he decides to just jerk his skeleton out. So, yeah, that was an excellent little piece there. And then, of course, T'Challa steps out with the Gauntlet of Infinity. So, which sets it up for that very final battle. I mean, that's a lot of this has been the build-up, all these battles. You're trying to get all the characters brought in. Just cute little things like, Star-Lord was involved, and he's got this toothpick in his mouth. When he thinks all is lost, he throws the toothpick into the ground, which sprouts into Groot, and he just gets through the whole castle and just destroys the castle. So there was just nice little points throughout.
That was my favorite part in the issue. Just giant Groot screaming, "I am Groot."
Nice.
So yeah, nice. It definitely hits fun notes. It's just a good book, fun trade for those who didn't pick up some issues.
Yeah. Cool.
What do you think about Catwoman?
I was gonna say that.
Oh yeah, let's talk a little bit of Catwoman. So Catwoman moves back to basically being what Catwoman was before, right? I don't want to say regresses because it's not like she doesn't do anything. They don't have her doing anything bad in this issue. She's not laying over the side of a building pouring diamonds across her bare chest or any of those kinds of things that people complained about when the New 52 first started up with her and whatnot. She's zipped up through most of the book. I love that cover. I miss the crime boss Selina though. I mean, I'll be honest as far as that goes. But I didn't hate this issue though. I mean, it wasn't like I don't know. My problem is the crime boss Selina had so much depth to it. I mean, it was complicated, right? This whole juggling all these crime families and stuff for me. And this seems really easy. I mean, I know she's in a pickle like all superheroes are, right? It's almost a letdown in that aspect is that this feels standard versus what we were reading. What do you guys think? Maybe it's just me.
Do you think that maybe that kind of amplifies it, that this is the previous run was so good and it was different, then we're kind of going back? Does it kind of make it more like that way, or is it, if you take like Nocenti era and then you go compare it to this, do you think it's an improvement?
Oh, this is definitely an improvement over that. Right. I'm not saying this is a poorly designed book. I don't. I mean, it's Catwoman. You know, it's Catwoman being Catwoman, and it's done fine. As far as that goes, I don't think it's like great. I like the art as a whole. I like Mirandish. The last book that she worked on was Coffin Hill. I liked her work there. I like her work fine here too. But it's hard not to compare it to what we were just reading, and that was enough different. That gave us this different aspect to Selina that we hadn't seen. This is showing us the Selina that we've always seen, right? Or at least the Selina I've always seen in my years of reading her. What do you think, Brandon?
I didn't like it. I didn't really like it.
Okay, so
So it started off kind of bad for me, because it started off like she was going to this she was talking about this Russian mob person. And she's like, back in the day, I'd be talking with this Russian mob person, talking about having this deal with our families, but that's not me anymore, and now I'm Catwoman. And it kind of read to me like, hey, remember that thing that was awesome back then? Let's just forget it happened and move along. And I was just like, oh, good. But then I was like, okay, don't let that get to you. Pretend this is your own, like a new thing. I was like, okay. So I started reading it, and I got up to the point where a mentor, but I guess the person she works for, where he explains that he's dying. That's when this book lost me, because this book felt very, very cliche to me. It hit all these different cliches, and I was just like, and it threw me off the book at that point.
Which one in particular?
Louis the Mustache, whatever his name is.
Yeah, the Fence. Her longtime Fence / father figure person who wants her to go on the super hard thing, and she's like, that's kind of crazy, and he's like, oh, I wouldn't ask you this, but I'm dying.
As soon as he said I was dying, I started to notice all the cliches, and I was like, oh, now I'm kind of getting out of this book, and it really threw me out of the story. It's
a standard Catwoman story.
And I'm thinking this might be where I jump off, to be honest.
Does it surprise you they didn't go for #1 then, to kind of show that it's a big change?
Thank God, no.
No. It's not like...
Shut the hell up. Nothing personal. Mike or Marvel, but God almighty.
The only one that I think should have been a new #1 is Batgirl from DC. I think that should have been a new #1.
Yeah.
But no, I think
this isn't a radical removal from anything.
No.
I mean, Brandon's right. Brandon's right. It's hitting the standard stuff to the point of cliche in some things. This is standard, Catwoman. This is not, there's no stretch here. The other stuff we were just reading was much more of a stretch. She's out of her cat suit. She's doing all this other stuff. That was way more of the stretch. But that was way more of the interesting character at this point. If she's just going to go back to just being a cat burglar, we've had a lot of years of that, so we got spoiled by the, however many issues that Valentine run was. I don't know.
It's just not something I feel like I need to read, because I've been there and done that. Even though I like Catwoman a lot, it's not a book I feel like I need to read right now.
And it's not done exceptionally well. It's not like some of the other versions of this that are out there. You want some other versions of this that are out there.
The Brubaker run?
Right, get the Brubaker run. That started out as a Brubaker run with, sales on the first 4 issues or whatever, and then that whole run. I think like the Catwoman win in Rome. Get some of that older stuff.
I have those issues. I haven't read them yet.
There's some great stuff there. But that is this. It's this, but it's not done. It's not quite so cliche-ish. It's not so on the nose.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a few issues because I don't want to. I don't have to have the first issue rock my socks off. I don't want it to be terrible, and I didn't think this was terrible.
I wouldn't say it was terrible.
I think it takes a bit for anybody who's new to a character, new to a thing, to, maybe get when it's not their own creation, to get their gears going on it. So I'm going to give it a few issues before I am done. But this issue doesn't make me need to stay on the book. I got to read the good stuff. If it's going to be a standard affair like this, I don't know that I will continue with it.
Well, this might be a Southern Cross situation where you'll be like a couple issues from now, you're like, oh, it really picked up, and I'll go back. But right now, now, no.
Yeah. Well, and that's a difference in how me and you are getting our books too.
Yeah.
You're right. If I was walking to the store and physically picking my books up off the shelf, it would be really easy for me to pick up the next issue, thumb through it, and put it back down, and probably walk away from it without it being a big deal. But I already know I'm committed for 3 issues, so it's pretty easy for me to get almost the full first arc before I am off of it. So, but one more issue, if it's like this, probably that gives me a sense that there's no twist or interest beyond the standard affair for me to continue with it. So.
I just thought it did good because, that last Valentine's run was that good.
Yeah.
That if it face planted, it could have been bad, and I didn't think it did. I think it did well, considering where we were before.
Right. It's in some ways it's not fair, in my opinion, to compare it to the Valentine run, because the Valentine run was different enough that this is fundamentally going back to what Catwoman traditionally is. I'm not saying it's going back to Anacetti's run. I'm just saying that the character has moved back to what she was. She is Catwoman in every traditional sense of the word now in this. There wasn't any.
Which is why when I read the beginning part and I said, it felt like they're going to wipe that first part away, I kind of swept that aside and say, okay, let me judge it on its own. And then I was like, okay, the cliches were the ones that got me. Okay.
Right. And it has some of those in there. The good side of it is it didn't hit any of the social faux pas that the book has had problems with in recent years since the New 52. Them making her, sexualized in a way that doesn't make sense for her, or that she's running around half naked when it doesn't make sense, or that sort of stuff. That didn't come back to the book, which is a good thing. They at least are smart enough to not go back, regress in that way. It's just this isn't necessarily smartly written.
Yeah.
Cool. What else? Read a big chunk of Robin Wars. What do we kind of think of Robin Wars in general? There's a lot of elements I liked of the Robin Wars stuff between the Grayson book. What was there? What all came out this week? I can't remember. There was the
Detective came out, and
right.
2 of the tie-ins came out.
I'm kind of liking it. It's not as bad as it be. I guess I like the elements of, the actual superheroes calling, BS on their shenanigans. I'm kind of amused also with the fact that Grayson kind of hoodwinks the other would-be Robins into suckering them into getting themselves arrested, basically. I liked some of those elements. I thought that was okay. And I like the fact this whole event's going to be done relatively fast. It's not going to stretch out into any really long. It's in a few books, but it's not really bogged down.
If I had to say anything, I think other than the Gotham Academy one, the tie-ins so far, which technically only 2, haven't really been necessary. believe it or not. I mean,
Yeah.
the reference they did with Gotham Academy is toward the very end when Damian showed up, and then we actually had the Rico character in there, but the Red Hood Arsenal one was no way. Actually, credit to Lobdell, actually wasn't that bad. But really no reference to Red Hood in the very beginning showed up, but I don't think this is gonna be an epic one. I think it's a fun one.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Right. And I wonder, clearly I think that this is a way to introduce people who are reading some of those books to hopefully introduce them into reading the other books. Maybe they get those people who are just exclusively maybe reading Gotham Academy to like that character, the one that was in the Gotham Academy one. And maybe you'll go check out the We Are Robins that she's in, because that's another group of kids. If you like the kids in Gotham Academy, maybe you'll like the kids in We Are Robin. Clearly it's a sales thing. Let's try and get people to read some of those other books, and I guess if that helps some of those books, awesome. Kind of a thing. So I'm still nervous about what all this book and this event and Batman Eternal, Batman and Robin, what that's going to do to the Grayson book ultimately. It still makes me very nervous. So I'm done with this book.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's why I wasn't even going to bring it up. Yeah.
Well, I'll bring it up because of that. I'm done with this book. To be quite honest, I don't know how this book ended. I got about halfway through it, and I've got this huge stack of books, and I went, you know what? I don't even need to finish this. It's just, and I don't even, kind of was interested in the whole werewolf thing. That's this other story that's supposed to show up at some point. I don't even care about that. I'm getting it because, of course, I pre-ordered 2 months in advance, but I will not be putting this on my poll until something changes. I was excited. I had high hopes for this Percy writer who, writes novels and stuff. I liked that little short thing he did in Detective Comics last year, so I was excited for this creator, on the book. But
my gripe with it is go back to the beginning of this arc, where you started and then where you ended. And it's like, I know I said it, it's like, how did we get here?
Right.
Well, I thought the issue was not that bad. That was kind of interesting where they kind of morphed. But it's like, if you look at the journey, you're just like, you're right. Like the whole wolf thing, you're like, what happened to that? That was the interesting part, and just kind of detoured off into freaking drug lords and people, freaking diseases, and like,
right.
Well, and it just seemed like they regressed his character again onto, well, I don't really care about how bad the crime is here. I'm going to take care of this one thing, and I'm getting out of here.
Well, his characterization just has got, in my opinion, has gotten worse. Him as a human being, as the first page, just his inner dialogue is, where he rattles off all this stuff that's wrecked on him, broken bones and all that. I'm cut up, I'm beat up, half drowned. My left eye can't focus. My right knee feels full of broken glass. A broken rib, dagger jabs me with every breath, but it's my heart that truly hurts. I'm out. I'm out right there. I mean, that's the first panel, and I'm done. That he's that jilted by Tarantula. Where in this comic have we seen enough of them together for him to be that kind of emotionally involved? Maybe his libido is hurt. That he's not going to get some. I mean, I could get that maybe, but I don't.
Yeah.
There's nothing in this book has shown him to have enough of a relationship with her to feel that way. Nothing in this book has shown him to even have quickly, because sometimes people fall quickly in love. For him to have even gotten that, for them to have that first panel, for me to accept that first panel as being anything remotely close to heartbroken. He's known the woman for like 3 or 4 days, and his heart is broken. Seriously?
It was the part that we didn't get to see, the whole drive between Seattle and
Mexico.
Mexico,
Juarez.
Juarez, yeah.
Well, you know what? I might have liked that comic.
Yeah.
Even if not a single arrow was fired in it and there was no green or no brown, I might have actually liked that story. But yeah, no. What else? What else am I talking about? I just want to pick on the books I don't like, don't I?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Grinch or Happy Elf? I don't know.
I should have worn my Grinch shirt and my Grinch tie, but I wore that at work, so.
I feel like we should probably touch on this book because it's the last issue. We stand on guard.
Canada wins! Canada wins! Canada wins by blowing itself up. What do you think?
So we can't
6
win. None of us will win.
That's right. If I can't have the water, nobody can have the water.
I don't know. I've kind of been back and forth on this ever since I read it. I don't know if I liked how it ended or if I really kind of am undecided, to be honest with you. Yeah. On one hand, I'm kind of like it sort of just ended.
That's it. Yeah, it left it way open for whatever else they might want to do, kind of a thing. It ended these characters. It didn't end the story, right? That's what it did. I don't feel like there was an ending to the story. It ended the characters.
Yeah.
Who I don't know that I got so much of that I feel like it ended the story. If I was more invested in these characters, if I knew more about them than what I do now, had time to really get to know them and be invested in them, the way this ended would have felt like an ending for me. Whereas
Go ahead.
Whereas with this, it just feels like we told an aspect of this greater world, of this greater story that's going on.
Yeah. I did like the switcheroo that this book tried to do, where it was basically saying Canada started this whole thing.
Right.
Like I kind of liked that because up to this point we're like America China just bombed us for no reason and started the whole thing. So I kind of like getting a different mindset on how it all started.
Well, yeah, it is. Yeah, and that's kind of funny in a sense that, I mean, at least my perspective is there's this kind of stereotypical kind of thing that all the Canadians are just really nice people and they're just friendly and humble and all of that. And of course, America is a bunch of aggressive, arrogant pigs. And so clearly we would attack, clearly America would attack Canada because we're a bunch of aggressive, pigs who just want everything. We were just looking for an excuse. So that kind of throwing that out there that maybe it was different than that, which I don't know that we can believe it was different than that.
No.
It's just
kind of leaves that open-ended too, but bringing that up there kind of plants that sort of in your mind like, maybe.
Yeah. Well, or just the fact when wars get started, who the hell knows how they get started? Somebody somewhere does something stupid and starts big ugliness. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. As a whole, I guess I enjoyed it, but it definitely is like not on par with anything else Brian K. Vaughan's done. But again, I don't know. I just don't know how satisfied I was. Like I guess it was okay.
I like the art.
Yeah.
I like the art. I like the battle scenes. I like the technology. I mean, I love the lasers whipping around and cutting things up into lots of little pieces. And
we've talked about it before, but I like the battle strategy. This book, I keep saying game. This book has where it's like, oh, we're going to attack the water and we want the water supply and all that. I like that aspect of it, but as a whole, I don't know. I'm up in the air on it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I am too. Like I said, for me, it's without being more deeply invested in the characters and concerned about their well-being. The way this ended, it was just a piece of a larger something that I don't know if I care about the larger something.
Yeah. Can I make a request?
Sure.
Can you talk about insects? Because I was thinking about picking that book up, but my shop never got it in.
Sure. I get to talk about insects. Let me dig it out here so I can hold the cover and look like a fashion model. So this is Insects number 1. This is from Aftershocks comic. This is a Marguerite Bennett's first creator-owned book. The artist that helps her do the book is Arlea Christiania, something along those lines. Marguerite Bennett is in the book as creator. No one else is listed as creator. She's the owner of it, I guess. You know, to tell you the truth, I don't. Yeah, I kind of wanted to do a video about all these books I read this last week because I wasn't sure how much I was going to talk about them. And this is a book I wasn't sure 100% how I was going to talk about because I don't know. I don't know exactly what I think about it. So it's a horror story. It's clearly a horror story. There's this woman. She is married to an older man. That it becomes quickly pretty clear that he married her for her dowry. She comes from a rich family. He married into the family so he could have her money. She is actually in love and having a love affair with the handmaid. And the husband clearly sleeps around with the staff and abuses the staff, including her. Kind of starts out with the aftermath of her having been beat up. I mean, she's got strangle marks, handprints on her neck from how rough the husband is with the staff sexually. And the handmaiden hatches a plan because part of the problem is the husband hates the wife because the wife hasn't been able to produce any heirs. So clearly she's a horrible woman. This is set in the 1800s. So clearly, her womanhood comes into question if she's not producing babies for him. Clearly it's her problem. So the handmaiden promises that she can help him, that she can help her out in having a baby. And you're like, okay, how's she gonna do that? Well, there's lots of sexual content in this. I can't actually open this book up and show you much inside of it because there's
I figured
lots of naked people in it, and through some magic or that sort of thing, she produces kind of a something inside of her that's baby-like. She looks pregnant. She has the glowing complexion of being pregnant and whatnot. They have a party, and at this party, she's just really radiant. Everybody kind of falls all over her. The husband becomes re-interested in her because everybody else is fawning all over her, thinking she's so great. So clearly, he's missing something. So suddenly, he wants to, climb into bed with her again, which she's like, okay, fine. During their embrace, she kind of basically coughs whatever she has inside of her into him. He almost immediately gestates the baby, and the baby is born by bursting out of him. I mean, his stomach swells, and then he explodes. A baby comes out. And they're all kind of insectoid of sorts. There's this picture of them together coddling this baby. The baby has eyes that are segmented like a dragonfly's eyes, all the little facets. Their eyes look that way too, and they have big giant dragonfly wings. So I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen next. I mean, I saw a lot of lauded on, oh my gosh, this is such a great book kind of a thing, and I don't know how much of that is genuinely, boy, we thought this story was great, or I really like Marguerite Bennett.
Right.
This is me being supportive of you, Marguerite. Awesome, doing a great job and whatnot. I like Marguerite Bennett too. I think she's a great person. The times I've talked to her and her on Twitter, great personality, whatever. I'm interested in the book, but I don't know what to think of it because it was kind of odd. There wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of pages to this, but it's a lot of pages of rolling around in a bed. So.
Because I want to give Aftershock Comics a fair shot, and that was the one that intrigued me the most. So that's why I wanted it. But if it was something that was really, really good, I could have my shop order.
Have you seen the sample pages? Because I mean, the floating around is the first couple pages of the book. Does give you some sense of what the art is like. Here's our main character smashing a dragonfly on her chest that was buzzing around and bugging her as they're having this conversation about how the husband, because there's the bruises on her neck, on the handmaiden's neck, talking about what a brute he is.
Like my shop got Super Zero, but I didn't interest me, so I was like.
See, yeah, that's the one I haven't checked out. This is the second one of the Aftershock books that I've tried.
First one was about clones, and I was like, I'm not really into that one either. That was the one that
Yeah.
intrigued me the most. I was kind of
You
upset.
know, but then there's a whole page. There's a whole page of here. I'll finally edit it for you. There's a whole page of them rolling around, and she spits this. See down that bottom
Yep,
corner.
yep.
She kind of barfs this thing into her mouth. That this egg or whatever it is that. Oh, I guess I showed other nipples on there that I shouldn't have shown. I apologize for everyone offended. And that's not the. I mean, there's a page after that where people's hands are places that. Like I said, if that's your thing, that's all good and fine. I mean, that's.
I don't know. Okay.
But yeah, I don't know that I can recommend it. There's the end. See the goat butterfly wings, and the
Yeah.
baby's got looks like it's got wings too. The next cover looks intriguing. I mean, here's the head of her husband, who is dead. I mean, he's deader than dead. So, and they're going to. I guess he slums a lot, so they're going to basically say that he went down to the kind of the bad part of town and got himself gutted by somebody down there. They're going to drag his body down there and throw it. So, I don't know. I'll be getting it for a few issues, but
Yeah, I read it. It wasn't a strong start, but it's so weird that I'll probably stick around for a while.
The other issue is
Right.
I don't know how much is being produced, so if I wait until you guys tell me what issue 2 and 3 are like, I might not be able to get issue 1. So I'm kind of okay.
sure. And it is a $3.99 book, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
So yeah, I just don't. I mean, it's not a book I can recommend. I didn't hate it. It just there's a lot of elements that need to be that for a first issue I think needed to be held to it. It was too decompressed, maybe, or we skipped a lot. I mean, it's like there's a lot of things that need to be explained. You know, who is this woman? I mean, are we going to get that in the story? This handmaiden, she's clearly not a normal person. And how has she changed everybody else? Yeah, I just don't know.
Okay, fair enough.
So, any other books we want to talk about?
Nothing that I feel like I have to go out of my way to talk about. I don't think.
Anybody else?
Is anybody else going to pick up any more issues of Batman and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
No.
It's got
Luke,
Batman in the
or-
title, so of course Luke will. Yeah.
Hey, I mentioned it before. It's go ahead.
Your
Mike. You
your
brought
mic
it
has to come down.
There you go. Yeah, Mike, you brought it up, man. If you want to go ahead and segue into it,
Well,
I got thoughts.
no, I mean, it was fine. I don't know that I will pick up any more. I thought it was nice. I am not a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja fan, and I didn't really watch the cartoons or collect the toys when I was younger. So it was just there wasn't the nostalgia factor I needed for me to continue, I think.
It's clear. I think it's one that's you just really gotta take it for face value. It's okay.
Right.
But
So
if
you
you're
just need
go ahead.
Do you just need it to round out your collection then? Is that how you feel, or?
No, I mean I get it. I mean, it's tough to say because I mean, basically it's a lot. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle heavy.
Yep.
It's set in Gotham and very little Batman. So I mean,
Who produced this book? Is this a DC book?
No, IDW?
Okay.
Oh,
No,
wait, well...
it's a joint thing.
Oh, yeah, I
It's
guess.
published through DC, I think.
Alright.
Is it published to DC though? Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to... I guess, they got both of them here, so...
Yeah, but the number one is in the same design as the DC stuff, so my guess
Alright.
would be they're the actual imprint.
Yeah, if you go through Diamond, on Diamond they had on their website it was listed under DC. So
Okay.
I guess so, but I mean,
Okay.
it's okay. But yeah, you really can't expect, oh, this is gonna be, an epic thing, and maybe what's going on in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the whole thing with Shredder, and it's not even in the same continuity. It's just go along for the ride and have
Sure.
a good time type of thing,
It's the closest you're gonna get to a company crossover.
Yeah.
So if you're holding out for the DC Marvel crossover, this is as close as you're gonna get.
So read those Amalgam comics, whatever, way back in the day.
Right. I'm just not a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, so sorry Wednesday cereal, but I'm not. So yeah. See, what do I want to talk about?
Constantine. Ooh, we didn't even touch
Yeah,
Constantine.
let's talk that. I know quite a few of us read that. What are we thinking of Constantine? Issue number 7.
That was good. I love that. I love the beginning part in the park. That was awesome. What?
Yeah. Joking around. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, that's funny. So, what did you think, Brandon?
I loved it. I think any time you kind of have Constantine and Swamp Thing banter together is always a good time.
Right. So there's such a level of disrespect between the two of them
Yeah.
that yeah, yeah, I really liked it too. I like this kind of this larger thing that's going on, this kind of whatever is happening in the city that John really wants to ignore for whatever reason. I mean, that he just continues to pull the ostrich and put his head in the. I mean, he knows that he shouldn't be having this relationship with Oliver because something bad's going to happen out of that. Okay, fine. But even beyond that, he's really doing the ostrich and sticking his head in the hole to not. I mean, everybody keeps warning him. There's this larger thing coming in the city. This darker, much more sinister thing is happening, and he just wants nothing to do with it, kind of a thing. And you just know that's going to come back and be so bad. But I'm really liking it.
I love the panel of Constantine and Swamp Thing riding the subway.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I laughed pretty good at that.
Yeah. Because you just know that Swamp Thing's thinking to himself, "You are such a dick for making me ride on this thing." I mean, he kind of says that anyway, but it's just like, really. Yeah.
What I like about I like how this series has been going, especially the past couple issues where, like, overall, it does connect, but they're kind of like standalone. It's been really fun.
Yeah. 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 I mean, like I said, I'm not 100% sure on what I thought of the first arc and how it ended, but last issue was dynamite. This issue was great too. I'm curious on the art. They've got Rosmo's name as the first artist on it, which I think is really curious because, Level's actually doing the breakdowns, and for anybody who doesn't understand how the art works, so Level is actually drawing the basics of the comic book, and then Rosmo is coming back in this issue. Rosmo's coming back over it, and he's doing the inking. He's finished when it says finishes. What he's doing is he's going in and the kind of whatever level of roughs that Level did, Rosmo's just going in and putting his stamp on it. So the characters still have the kind of Rosmo-styled faces and stuff, but as far as the panel layout itself and where things are at and the camera angles and whatnot, that is all Level. And so I think that's interesting, and maybe that's how Rosmo is getting away with doing this book and doing Rasputin kind of at the same time. It seems like. Which is the Image book that he's still working on, right, Mike? I mean, that's still.
Actually, I think that week I was gone, but I think it's done.
Oh, really? It's
Yeah,
finished, huh?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
have to look back through my mind, and I'll message you sometime on that.
Okay, so maybe I don't know. Maybe that means we'll get Rosmo actually back full on the book. I mean, I think that just looking at it, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with the paneling and the way it's done and whatnot. It looks fine. There's just certain things about it that don't look exactly like what I typically would see in Rosmo's work and how he sets things. But it still has the faces, the noses are inked clearly by him, kind of stuff. But I think that's interesting that he gets top billing, though somebody else is laying the structure down for him. So.
Now, is it? Would you think maybe? Cause I don't know what Level it's done. Is it more because Rosmo's more established and people go to a book that had Rosmo as lead art?
I can't tell you that I've ever read Level's name ever before. Mm-hmm. And we all know who, or most of us know who Rosmo is. So I'm sure that's why Rosmo's name is first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's top billing because it's just like if you get a book that's got Snyder and somebody else writing it, somebody else may have done 99% of the writing, but if Scott Snyder had an ounce of an idea in it, it put his name at the top of it because you're going to buy it, Luke.
Right.
Right? So, so I think it's the same sort of thing. I think they put Rosmo's name on there because people are going to see Rosmo's name and go, oh, I want to buy it because it's got Rosmo art on it, which I tend to. I mean, if I see Rosmo's name attached to something, I tend to go out of my way to check it out anyway. So, yeah, I really like. The last 2 issues of Constantine have been good fun. So, yeah, yeah, cool beans. Monstrous? What are we thinking of Monstrous? Issue number 2 of Monstrous. Those of us that picked it up.
I didn't read that one yet either.
Oh, you haven't read it yet?
Nope.
Okay, never mind.
I was going through my stack and I was like, oh yeah, I haven't read that one yet. Whoops.
That's okay. We'll talk about it another time. You let me know on Twitter what you think of it when you get around to reading.
It's not something you can talk about without saying anything. Yeah?
Well, I just want to know your opinion. I'm still really enjoying it. I mean, I think it's interesting. Some pieces of it jumped a little bit that it took me a little bit to go, okay, what's really going on? It's one of those kind of things where there's some people that I'm not exactly sure what camp they're in, because there seems to be kind of there's this group of people and there's this group of people and there's this other group in between that I'm not completely clear on what they are. But I think it has all the aspects that were, there's just less of it, but there's all the aspects that were in issue number 1. This is just clearly a thinner issue than issue number 1 was. Because issue number 1 was like 2 comics put together. But no, it's cool. It's a gorgeous book. So
The last page with the Professor Tam, the cat with 4 tails.
yes,
Smoke a cigar.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
yeah. Yeah, the cats continue to be pretty brilliant in the thing as far as that all goes. But yes, that final page is pretty awesome. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on in it. I love the cat in here anyway. I mean, the cat tries this whole bravado thing. You know, they're about ready to get attacked by some pretty high level sorcerer type person. The cat pops in there and goes, you know, I'm the assistant, so-and-so 4th class mage of blah, blah, blah. I mean, this whole litany of how powerful this cat's supposed to be. And the person that they're bragging to kind of goes, eh. And the cat's like, well, it was worth a shot. And they run like hell because, of course, the cat isn't any of that stuff. The cat's just, kind of a poet, and that's it. Kind of thing. But he's, tries giving a whole line of, BS that was pretty, pretty funny. Kind of a thing that was kind of cool and whatnot. Slash and Burn, still a favorite of mine as far as these new Vertigo books.
I got that one.
Clearly not what I thought it was going to be when the book was advertised. This whole kind of back history with the Matchman and stuff, and this whole... I love her language, her love affair with fire. The description they use in the book continues to be, I think, just really interesting.
That's what really sells the book for me. Is
right.
Her dialogue.
When the pitch for it, that we had the pyromaniac that's working as a firefighter, I kind of rolled my eyes at that. I'm like, oh god, that's just going to be horrible. But it really works. She can love the fire and murder her lovers, basically, is what it comes down to. But there's this whole weird kind of occult, potential mystic thing that's going on. She's trying to track down one of her friends who she knew from the orphanage, who was part of this whole club of pyromaniacs kind of a thing. And he's killed at the end of it. He's basically lit on fire, and there's this weird Matchman scribbling there and stuff. I don't know.
Unless he wasn't there and it was him that set it off. It was like
a self-immolation. Yeah, I mean,
maybe it wasn't him in there. Maybe it was just like he just placed his shoes there or something, and he wasn't never caught.
Oh, true. That's true too. Right, just hiding his.
That was my first idea. I said, well, maybe he just wasn't there, and it was him who set the thing off in the first place.
Oh, that's cool. That's a cool idea. I really like the book. I'm really thrilled with the book. I just really smart and just kind of interesting, and
yeah,
they do a good job of bouncing back and forth between what seems like the current timeline and her at the orphanage, and getting an idea who these are, and clearly there's some other weird aspect going on. Watch out for the squirrels,
Yeah.
and all of that stuff. So that's pretty cool.
Well, you can get behind that because I know you hate squirrels.
That's right. Damn squirrels. So, book I haven't talked about at all, No Mercy. This is issue number 5, I believe, right? Yeah, 5.
Yeah. 5.
Yeah, I picked this up. I kind of heard some people talking about it and whatnot. I didn't realize Christina had been reading it. I kind of slept on it when it first came out. Discount Comic Book Service had a surplus of them, and they were selling them for like 99 cents each. So I got 1 through 4, for under $1. That ended up being cheaper than buying even the Image #1 trade. So I thought, well, hell, I'll just do that and get on board in singles if it's good. I really liked it. It's such a strange story. To me, it reminds me so much of, there were some movies that came out in the early 80s that were kind of survival disaster kind of films, and they were always starred like college or high school kids that get lost in the woods, or they're out camping and some bad weird dudes show up, quasi Leatherface kind of thing, but maybe not quite so horror aspect, but that sort of thing. So the basic premise is a bus full of American students. They're someplace in South America. Do we know what country?
Mexico, I believe.
Okay, they're someplace in Mexico. They are going to typical Americans going down there as tourists, but also going down to help a school meet down there and teach the kids English or some silliness like that kind of a thing. They get off the normal beaten path. Their bus crashes off over into a ravine, and they're lost and stranded out in the middle of nowhere, and they have to survive. Coyotes come and chew some of them up. Some of them died in the car crash. On the bus is full of drugs. There's suitcases and suitcases full of cocaine. You've got this whole spectrum of kids from high school. Your jocks, your nerds are there. Your kind of gothic kind of people are there, and all this horrible stuff happens to them. I mean, it's just one horrible thing after another. There's this nun that's with them that clearly has some really, dicey past. I'm not even sure, is she really a real nun, or is she kind of nun?
Yeah.
This issue made me think maybe she's not even legit a nun. I mean, but she cares about the school that she's working at. But every issue something horrible happens, and something really uncomfortable happens. But for some reason that's cool. Isn't that horrible? It's almost like Stray Bullets when we talk about Stray Bullets. All this horrible crap happens, but for some reason you enjoy reading it. It's just, I don't know. This issue, this drug cartel comes and scoops up a bunch of the kids, and they're going to use them basically as leverage to kind of get in good with a group of Americans that they think they want to get in with. Another group is climbing up this mountainside, and this girl gets to the top of this road. They're looking for a rescue, and instead of getting rescued, she basically gets just the side of sexually assaulted, right? I mean, that whole scene to me was really uncomfortable because it just felt like all these truck drivers who don't speak English, she doesn't speak Spanish, show up, and they're all like, "Hey, chica," they're let's party, kind of thing. And here she's this young high school student, and it just gets more and more uncomfortable the entire time as it goes along. And even after her friend shows up to kind of rescue her, you just think at any moment they're gonna beat him up and kill him and then rape the hell out of her is what it feels like is gonna happen. And so there's quite a few pages of that really uncomfortable scene. To me, it felt really uncomfortable anyway. That it just felt like, oh God, I'd rather get chewed up by coyotes than have what's happening to her happen. And then there's the girl who's been bit by a coyote. Her arm's infected. She's starting to hallucinate, and she's wandered around and she finds some petroglyphs and stuff, and she thinks it's this holy site. And I'm not sure if she's hallucinating that or if it's really there. This big giant golden eagle comes down, and she thinks it's her spirit animal. it does not go well for her either. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm talking about this book well enough to make it even remotely interesting. But I really like it. But it's just one horrible thing after another. I don't know.
guess the title is aptly
No
named.
Mercy. Yeah, I kind of wondered at the beginning why this title is what it is. It's clearly what it is for a reason because, Alex DeCamp pulls no punches. She brutalizes these characters. Emotionally, psychologically, physically, everything. I don't know how long this book can go though. We're gonna run out of characters.
I know. No, I know, and it's so underrated. I feel like more people should be reading it.
Yeah.
I think, especially it's an all-female team, and it's just sitting right under the radar. I think it's not fair. I think if you haven't read it, please get the trade. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, and of course it's an Image Books. That first trade is, under $10, and if you order it online, some places you could probably get it for close to $6. So check it out. Check it out. I'm gonna be picking it up in singles. Just I like it enough that it probably says something about me, but it was cool. It was cool. Lots of other interesting books came out. Issue 9 of Rebels came out. It was another one-shot issue. It has to do with the French-American, French-Indian War. That was a pretty interesting a story about a Pawnee who kind of has a full aspect of the American experience, kind of nails down exactly what the original American expansion was, this level of consumption that was going on during this era and during the Great Expansion and during the I'm missing the history term, what America at the time believed it was their divine
Manifest Destiny.
Thank you, Manifest Destiny. This to consume America. It was our right. It was our God-given whatever to, and this fellow here kind of nails it down. That it's just like you're just going to keep consuming land, and you're consuming land in a way that we just don't understand. What you're wanting to do that doesn't compute to us, and we don't see you ever stopping. I mean, you own this piece of property just to take it away from somebody else, basically, and we don't see an end to it, and really there isn't an end to it. We just consumed from one end of the continent clear to the other end of the continent, basically. But there's some great personal stuff in this, dynamics between this Native American when he's a young man helping the Americans build this fort, and then him coming back as a young adult and basically attacking the fort. Later on, and his kind of dealings with the American soldiers that are inside it both times. Some kind of cool stuff in that. One more issue of this, and then it's done until who knows what or whatever. But still, really, really enjoying it. This story definitely had a political statement to it on America's consumption of or white man in general's consumption of land during this era, and the insatiable desire to just keep taking and taking and taking. So, but it was good. I enjoyed it. Got lots of other books, but I don't know that I'm going to talk about them here. Unless somebody has oh my God, you read this book, you should talk about it. Anybody else got a book you want to talk about?
I got a couple of the number ones, but I don't know if I want to talk about them either.
What were they? Just out of curiosity.
I got Snowblind.
Oh, okay.
That's from Boom Studios.
Just the general.
Basically, a family. Our main character is like a mid-teen, I guess, maybe later teen. He's part of a family that used to live in Louisiana and moved to Alaska for reasons unbeknownst to him.
Okay. That's a cultural shock.
He's been getting into a lot of trouble. Mainly, he's been breaking into the library just to read. He's been caught twice.
What a criminal.
Yeah, I know. So basically, his father, His punishment is he has to be social at their next like winter barbecue. Basically, they still have that southern style, but in Alaska. So he's going, well, if you enjoyed that, why did you move in the first place? During the party, his father always gets drunk until the point where he passes out. So he takes a drunken picture of him and posts it on like Facebook or Twitter or wherever. And he freaks out because it's like, you don't know who could have seen that. Well, we find out that actually the father, I guess, or maybe the family in general, isn't part of a witness protection program. That's why they moved to Alaska.
Oh, no.
And I guess the person that they're hiding from saw that picture and is now going after them. It's only a 4-issue miniseries, so I thought, what the hell, give it a shot. Ollie Masters is a writer who wrote The Kitchen.
Right.
Tyler Jenkins is the artist who did Peter Panzerfaust. So it was a pretty good first issue, and we find certain things with the family that he's basically going, it's like I don't even know who my family is at this point. All these different things he's finding out. So that was pretty cool first issue.
Cool.
The other one I picked up was The Violent.
The Violent.
I picked it up because it was $2.99 at Image. I was like, what the heck? And the artist Adam Gorham, who's actually is local around us, so around me anyway. So I was like, what the heck? And Ed Briston is the writer who did The Sheltered.
Right.
Thing I found out this book, it seems like every story arc is going to be its own thing, its own self-contained story. So it's like after the story is over, I guess the next one will be its own jumping-on point, I guess. But basically, this book's about his family. The father is basically staking out this house. I guess at one point he was into shady stuff. So he's staking out this house until the occupants have left, and he's about to go and storm the house, and this car pulls up, and it's his wife. He freaks out at him. He's like, "What are you doing out here? Why do you leave our kid all by themselves in their house and whatnot?" And he starts like getting lambasted. He's like, "Okay, fine." But over the course of time, we find out that the wife also isn't really. She's kind of into some stuff too. She used to be really hard into drugs. She goes into like offices to like clean, and she's been short on their payment, and it's like, oh, I can't pay my rent, I'm short on payment. And an ex-drug dealer who used to be like their top flyers, left them like a note and a phone number. It's like, oh, my top customers always come back to me. So it's like, oh, if I want extra money, I guess I'll go back to drugs. So it's like, it's basically a story of people going back to their old ways, but for reasons that they feel is best for the family, sort of deal.
Sure.
It's not a book that really blew me away. If it was more than $2.99, I probably would be done right now. But because it's only $2.99, I'll probably maybe give the first story arc a shot. But yeah, it wasn't anything that blew me away anyway. And the other books I don't really need to talk about. Twilight Children is still weird. I don't know what the heck's going on with it.
Yeah, we got one issue left, right?
Yeah. I hate Tito. She's trouble. She hits a lot of notes that just infuriates me. So anyway.
She's a desperate lady, a desperate character, isn't she? So, yeah.
But I'm done.
Cool. Okay. I think we'll be done then. Thanks for coming in and chatting books, and I apologize for everybody who thought there would be last week and ended up not, and then I was lazy and didn't actually cut a video saying this is what's going on. But just as a reminder, next week we won't be here at all, so don't expect anything whatsoever. Then the week after that, it's going to be a free-for-all. I'm doubting I'm going to have my books because of the way the holidays land and stuff. I would guess that chances are slim that I will have my books. That January 3rd, I think it is, or 2nd, whatever day that is, that Saturday, it's going to be kind of a free-for-all. We're going to show up. If we have books, we'll talk books. If we don't, we're just going to talk comics in general. What the year was like, what next year might be like, or whatever. If you got questions, throw them our direction. Maybe we'll answer them. Maybe not. If you want to be on the show and you've never been on the show before, or you don't come on the show because you don't get books weekly like we do to talk books, and you want to be on just to talk comics in general, hit me up. We'll see what we can do. Get people on. See some new faces. See some old faces that haven't been around for forever. Come join us. Come join us and talk whatever. Because it's just going to be a big party. Woohoo! At any rate, it's late. We're tired. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for coming and talking comics with me, guys. Appreciate your being here. Introductions for everybody who wasn't here. That's Brandon Mackhammer at one end, Christina, Luke from Luke's Batman Reviews, and Mike, Sergeant America. Appreciate you guys always coming on talking books with me. And
Awesome.
we'll be back in 2 weeks. Have a good night, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Oh!